know the arcade games in the arcade places, and then I got this game is really cool. This characters are cool, and then I knew, well, this is going on TV when I'm in school. So I started like programming my VCR to record it, to be able to watch it after hours in school, after the hours of school. And then I became so addicted to it. I was drawing every day, turtles every day, turtles every day. And then, I don't know, 20, 30 years later, here I am, working for the turtles for 15 years. Yes.
Right on. What about you, Fero?
For me, I became a fan. The first time I remember the Ninja Turtles, it was when my dad took my brothers and me to the movie theater to watch a movie about strange characters that are ninja, and it was the 90s, 80s, that all the ninja stuff was super cool. So let's have to see. We need to see that movie, no? I remember that when we came home after watching the movie, I have this need to draw these characters in Ninja Turtles, especially Raphael. And after that, I was a kid of the 90s, so all the Turtle Mania, I have the cereal, all the toys, watching the cartoons, play the video games, so yeah, it was everywhere, and I was part of it.
Awesome.
I was a victim.
What about you, Cory?
I came to know about the Turtles through the '87 cartoon first, and then I would visit my grandmother who lived down the street from a 7-Eleven when they used to carry comic books, and I'd seen those comics for years as a kid and never really showed much interest. But after I'd seen the Ninja Turtles cartoon, I saw an issue of the Archie series, the Ninja Turtles Adventures, and I was like, there's a Ninja Turtles comic, and then that's what started for me. And then I grew up in the '80s, late '80s, early '90s, where it was like inescapable, So I really had no choice.
Awesome. So how did each of you end up at IDW getting to work on your own turtle stories?
I actually started at IDW as an editor. So I worked as an editor at IDW for like 15 or 16 years. I went freelance in 2023. And the funny thing about the Turtles was, IDW was, kind of made its name by taking a lot of, especially 80s licenses and kind of, modernizing them for a new audience. And when Peter Laird had sold the Turtles to Paramount and Nickelodeon, at the time it was Viacom, they came to us about doing something with the comics. And I actually wasn't going to be the editor on it. I was just in the editorial room, and I was thinking, well, this would be cool and that would be fun to write. But they were talking to other writers, had other plans for it. But for some reason, while we were in the editing meetings with Nickelodeon, they just weren't getting the pitches from, and they were just some pretty big name writers at the time. They weren't getting what they wanted. Nickelodeon had this idea, but it was kind of one of those things where like they kind of knew what they wanted, but they would really know when they saw it. Okay. And so they weren't sure. And so I would just sit in those meetings and as a writer of other comics before that, of course you're thinking, if I had it, I would do this. I was just thinking in mind, if I had it, I probably would do this. I would probably do that. But I wasn't interjecting at all. I just figured this wasn't going to be my thing. And then one day, Ted Adams, who was in charge of IDW at that time, came in and said, you know what? Kevin Eastman has approached me. He's been away from Turtles for a while. He wants to come back. He said he'd like to be involved in this new series. He doesn't want to write it. He'll do covers and maybe help with some of the plotting, but he doesn't want to write it, but he doesn't want to be involved. So what we need to do is get somebody to write alongside him. And I was thinking, well, that would be great for IDW. And they looked at me and they said, do you want to do it, Tom? And, well, what are you going to say? I said, yeah. And they go, okay, we need a pitch by tomorrow. And they needed a 12-issue pitch by the next day. And I thought, of course, they need this thing by tomorrow. But luckily, like I said, I had been thinking about it. And one of the ideas I had for the series was I always had this idea that the origin would be a little different, that they would be reincarnated this time. And so I kind of built off of that. And Nickelodeon already came to us and said, the one thing we want for sure is that when this series starts, Raphael is separate from the Turtles. That they wanted there to kind of be a reason that he was this loner, that he was so angry. And so they said, that is our only one demand. What kind of story do you want to tell? So I put this story together. I had never met Kevin. I had no clue how he was and who he was like. And I always tell the story. For many years, I worked with Kiss, did Kiss Comics, and I worked with Gene Simmons, was at Gene Simmons' house. I know Gene Simmons very well. And Gene Simmons is a rock star guy. I mean, in real life, he's just this big rock star guy. And I thought, well, this Kevin Eastman guy created Turtles. I'm probably going to get another Rockstar guy, and it's going to be one of those situations. And I like Gene, but Gene's Gene. And so I thought, okay. And they said, well, Kevin has kind of an idea of what he might like to do to start the series, and he'll bring his story in, and we'll show him yours, and we'll see what he thinks. And I'm thinking, why would he want to use my story when he has his own story? He's the creator of Turtles. And this is when I found out that Kevin Eastman is probably one of the nicest, most down-to-earth guys you could ever meet. The first thing he said to me when we met in person was, he said, I read your pitch. He goes, forget mine, we're going to go with yours. He goes, fans are going to poop purple bricks when they find out about the reincarnation. And he and I have been like brothers ever since, really close, and we continue to work together. But it was just kind of like Mateus and I were talking earlier, is it kind of threw out the universe and somehow found its way back to me, and it's been a blessing ever since.
Beautiful. All right. Now, what about you, Mateus? How'd you get involved with Turtles?
So yeah, it's kind of complimentary from what Tom was saying, because it was late 2010, and I was unemployed. I was in between works, I better say. But I just had done a short run for American Vampire, DC American Vampire. And I was just like trying to create like strong images to impress editors and stuff like that. And I remember one day I was like in the bath, like taking a bath, and thinking, well, I guess I'm going to draw some turtles, because in ages since I don't draw any turtles, and I guess I'm going to do like a kick-ass image of the turtles. And I was thinking about that when I left the bath. My phone rang, and it was a friend of mine, Rafael Grandpa. I don't know if you know this guy. He's been doing a series for Batman nowadays, and he called me and said, look, man, I was talking to some IDW guys, and they are looking for a turtle artist. You like turtles, right? So, and I was just thinking, I'm going to draw some turtles. And I thought, man, you're reading my mind or something? And I said, yeah, sure, man, introduce me. So Bobby Curnow at the time, he was not an editor yet, right?
He was like assistant
editor. He wrote me and said, look, man, they're just like trying to find out who's interested, who's not. And I told Bobby right away, look, man, this is so a weird coincidence for me that I'm going to say right away, I am interested, but I want to write as well. And he said, okay, send me a pitch. And I sent it a pitch. And he said, this is awesome. I'm going to run this through Nickelodeon Viacom. And then a month later, he wrote me back saying, hey man, I don't want you to get disappointed, but we have some big names now. Yeah, so I don't think your pitch is going to be approved. They say, all right, I don't care who the big names are. Let's go. Let's get it. And then a week later, said, yeah, man, as I told you, your pitch didn't make it, because we have Tom Waltz and Kevin Eastman. I say, oh man, okay, if the dad was his kid's back, who am I to get it away? And that's it. But I did a single issue for issue 5 of the Turtles, which was the issue that introduced the reincarnation plot that Tom was talking about. And after that, they invited me to write and draw the secret history of Foot Clan, who created the origins of Foot Clan. So that's it, and here I am. And I'm glad that happened that way, because I really love the reincarnation plot, and I haven't done about that. So.
Awesome. Now, what about you, Fero?
For me, it's like, I was a teenager when I decided that I wanted to become a comic artist. So that's what I wanted to do, and 10 years later maybe, and I started working on comics, and that was my dream come true. So what's next for me? I always loved Ninja Turtles. And I saw that the IDW started with the licensing and started making the comics, and maybe I could do something for them. And start and get the email of Bobby and start sending him samples. And he always being polite with me, and he always said that, yeah, thank you very much, but we all book it, and we have all the artists for now, and keep sending me samples, and 1 month. I will take, maybe we have something later. And that's what I started doing for like 10 years. But the answer was always the same. So, but I really wanted to draw Ninja Turtles anything, like just one cover, because I saw they have many variant covers. Maybe I could do one. Um, there I saw that Kevin Eastman was going to Mexico, where I live. I have to meet him. So I went to the convention with a portfolio and give to him. And oh, thank you very much. And what do you want? I want to do anything. Work with Ninja Turtles. Work with you. I will show this with Bobby. You know, okay, don't worry. And I started to like I saw who's working with them, and I see Tom was the writer for 100 issues, and I started following him on Twitter and with Sophie Campbell too. And yeah, I started stalking Tom for a while, and he starts sending samples to him. And one moment he told me that, hey, I got something for you. You, oh, great, Ninja Turtles. No, I cover for Yayo. Oh, okay, I like Yayo too. And I played the toys when I was a kid. And I did my cover, it was great. And after that, hey, I have something more for you, okay? It's Ninja Turtles. Oh, yeah! And that's how I started working with Ninja Turtles. Thanks to Tom.
Perfect. Now, what about you, Cory?
When they announced the Turtles, the IDW series in 2010 or 11 or whatever it was, I had no comics credits to my name. I didn't even have like any comic sample pages or anything. But I had like a bunch of cool Turtles art that I had like pinups and stuff. And so I sent whatever I could scrounge together to Bobby Curnow, the editor, and he was like, "These are great, but no, like, you know, this isn't what we hire people based on." That kind of I thought, well, they're not going to hire me now, but like I'll work my ass off until they do. I started doing sample pages on my own time, and I showed them to other editors at conventions, and I ended up working for Aspen Comics first, and then took the page I did for them and showed them to Dynamite, and then took the page I did for Dynamite and showed them to IDW. I think it was IDW, wasn't it? Yeah, so once I finally had some credits under my name and I could show them, that I can do, this stuff confidently, then my first gig was that Cry one shot in City War?
City Fall.
City Fall, yeah.
Awesome.
And I want to say something, if there's any artists out here, coming from an editorial standpoint, never give up. And I'm saying this for a reason, because, Bobby and I were like brothers too. Bobby was the editor for a long time, and he was a co-plotter, but Bobby and I have very different sensibilities sometimes when it comes to our tastes. So something that Bobby might look at and not see a future vision for it within the Turtles or whatever, but I may see that, and vice versa. And so when, Fero called it stalking, but I always say it's not stalking. You've got to make yourself heard. You've got to make yourself seen. And so Fero would just continue to send me artwork, and I was seeing the artwork. But sometimes it's just a matter of opportunity, because as an editor, I can only hire for jobs that I'm given to hire people for. And when I saw that opportunity to bring Fero in, I was like, this is it. But you also never know, like with all three of these guys, Mateus, Fero, and Cory have had a huge impact on that line. Because, like I said, I had this reincarnation idea, and I had a kind of a general idea of what the reincarnation story was going to be about. But I was also terrified, because I thought this could be sacrilege for a lot of the fans, because they were going to say, that's not how the Turtles came about. And I'll say, well, in our version, that is how they came about. But I knew there would be pushback. But the time I knew that idea was a good idea was when they did Secret History of the Foot Clan, him and Eric Byrne. Because I said, they get it. They've taken this to a whole new level I never would have taken it to. But it made me feel like, hey, I planted a seed that has bloomed. And so that was the right seed to plant. And I'm glad somebody else ran with it, because that just reaffirmed to me that I was going in the right direction. Cory was on one of the biggest issues ever, one I even got death threats for, which was Turtles 44, where everybody thought Donatello got killed. And people went nuts. I mean worldwide. I literally got death threats from Singapore.
It was a slow news day, Tom. It was a slow news day, so that was literally anything, the only thing anybody was talking about.
It was, Yeah, and it's not nowadays where news is constant every 2 seconds. So yeah, but it was like I came into the office the day after that issue came out, and they said USA Today's on the phone. They want to know why you killed Donatello. and my boss Ted at the time said, "We sold so many of that issue." He goes, "Can you kill another turtle next one?" And and then Fero comes in at a time, especially like with where there's a huge transition happening. Bobby's leaving. There's kind of there's some stuff going on at IDW that behind the scenes where there was not a lot of stability as far as I think in the business sense, but he came in and stabilized the creative side of things for Turtles. We had an Armageddon game was better for it because and so you can make your mark. It just might not be at the time when you think it's going to happen. And like I said, even in my own case, I never thought about writing Turtles. I never even thought that was on my radar at all. And next thing you know, I've written 100 issues, and that is just kind of testament to never giving up. You just don't know when it's going to be your time, but your time will come, but it won't if you quit. So I just say to people, don't quit. You just never know.
Perfect. That's awesome. So Tom, you wrote the first 100 issues of IDW's ongoing Ninja Turtle series, which is an awesome number, and it made for a truly iconic run. So that's a lot of moving parts to keep track of, a lot of arcs and big overarching plans. So what was in what ways did your overarching goal for the story evolve and change as the issues were released? And
Well, first thing I thought I would get killed for writing the reincarnation. So I thought it'd be one issue and then they'd lynch me. I thought I was done. And then that worked out. And then I thought, please let me at least get 4 issues out, one arc, before they fire me. And then we started to feel like we were getting some momentum and people were really into it. But I always kind of had this idea. I like kind of like the Chris Claremont kind of storytelling idea. I kind of cut my teeth on old Uncanny X-Men that Chris Claremont. And he wrote these long, basically soap operas with the X-Men that these stories would go forever, But I liked that. I liked that it wasn't like, get in and get out. This is going to matter someday. I know this little thing will matter. This character will matter because Chris won't forget. And so that's just kind of how I always approach the storytelling. So we in our mind had these beats that I wanted to get to. So sorry, spoilers if anybody hasn't read it, but I knew eventually I wanted Splinter to kill Shredder. I knew I wanted Splinter to take over the Foot Clan. I knew that ultimately, Splinter would have to sacrifice himself. And then there were, smaller beats in between that we would kind of point ourselves at. But again, it was very fluid at the same time because suddenly Mateus comes in with Secret History of the Foot Clan, and we had this character Kitsune. I'm like, oh wait, this character's too cool. This idea is too big for me to ignore. I got to steal some stuff from them and bring it into the book. So we always try to keep ourselves open. But I think it really helped that we had a consistent team throughout. So it was always Kevin, Bobby, and me, kind of running the show as far as I think on the higher level. And then we knew we'd have guest artists come in and guest creators, but because Bobby was the editor, he kind of was the captain of the ship that kind of kept things going in the right direction. Because I've done work with like Marvel now and stuff, and they got a lot of stuff going on, and it's very difficult. They have an event here and an event there. We try to keep it as enclosed as possible. And so we didn't have a lot of events. And if we had an event, it was like, this is a big deal. This story arc is a big deal. It's not going to be the event of the week. This is a massive deal. And so we would work toward that. And I think just always having goalposts that we're shooting toward, I'm going to get there. I'm not sure if I'm going to get there straight line or we're going to go like this direction. Another person that had a huge impact on our series was Brian Lynch. So Brian did these macro series early on, and he introduced characters like Alopex. One of my favorite characters, Harold Lilja. And these are people I never thought of creating, but once I saw them, I said, they have to come into my story now, so I need to find room for them. But I think it was always just knowing where you wanted to go, but knowing that it was going to be an adventure to get there. And as long as we found a way to get there in a clear path, even if it's a little bit winding, that was the way we approached it. And it was a lot of fun, and it worked out. One thing I tell people now, I didn't realize at the time, was my 100 issues, it was Splinter's story. And I didn't realize that until I wrote that last line in issue 100. So if you ever look at issue 100 and you look at issue 1, I closed the story with the same narration I opened it with. That was never a plan, but when I got there, it might as well have been a plan because it just felt so natural. This was Splinter's story all along. And that's, I think, probably subconsciously kept it as organized as it did because it was one character story that involved all these other characters.
Perfect. That's awesome. So Mateus, as we've talked about a couple times already, you co-wrote and drew the awesome 4-issue miniseries, The Secret History of the Foot Clan. It bounced back and forth between present-day New York and feudal Japan to examine the roots of the foot and the backstory of Shredder. So now it goes without saying that Shredder and the Ninja Clan elites are a crucial part of the Turtles mythos, no matter what universe you're in. So how'd you go about deconstructing that for the new continuity?
Well, at first it was kind of hard because I remember that first I was trying to figure out how Shredder came to be, because one of the things that Tom has established on issue 5 was that Shredder was alive in feudal Japan. So okay, how he's going to be alive in modern day? So that was like the first challenge to figure it out. But at the same time, like I remember that when I was trying to find a story, it was like my first big break with the Turtles. And so oh man, the Turtles has to be involved. I mean, I can't draw like a mini series of the Ninja Turtles and not draw Turtles at all. That would be frustrating as hell. So I was trying to figure out how to put it together. So that's why the back and forward. And so I have to find like a sweet spot where I could tell a story about the origin of the Foot Clan, and also and I remember that the hardest part actually was like, okay, but how the Turtles will find out about that? Because okay, we have like all this backstory. We have like I don't know the history and how again probably the Foot Clan knows how they came to be, but how the Turtles will find out about that. So I remember I was talking to a friend like in a bar, like man, I'm stuck in this point and I don't know how to. Because I don't want to be like a cliche or something like that. In the end, I think it was a little bit cliche, but fuck it. So he said, "Look, man, you have to put you need a human element. You need someone to guide you through the story." So I said, "Okay, let's make like a historian guy, just like researching like out of the blue. He has nothing to do with it, with any of it, and it will be dragged into the story." So we will create like Dr. Miller, then Tom killed in a few issues later.
I didn't get evidence for that one.
But yeah, he was the bridge between these two stories. But other than that, I think I was trying as a fan of the Turtles and fan of martial arts, as you know, and I was trying to bring all these elements of the things that I like about ninja and samurai stories and turtle stories. So I was trying to do like my version of all these things in one single, because I didn't know that if this was going to be like my only work with the Turtles. I didn't know that it was going to be like for a long time. So I have to do like the best turtle story that I would like to read, and that's how it came to be. Yeah.
Awesome. So Cory, when you were working on the micro series, you did a full issue on Karai. This was important as it was the first time the depths of her character were examined for the new continuity. So, how did you approach, representing, who she was visually and, working with that new universe and introducing everybody to Karai in a way?
Well, there was quite a bit of, flashback stuff in that issue that gave you, a little bit of backstory of Karai as a child. And, man, I don't remember the details now. So long ago. But Eric Burnham wrote that, and I thought the script was so great. This doesn't answer your question, but that issue is the smoothest time I've ever had working on a comic book ever. I finished it start to finish in 3 weeks.
Oh wow!
And it was leading right up to my honeymoon, so I had to finish it. It was a wedding day. The details are fuzzy. But yeah, that's still one of my favorite things I've ever done. I think. I really loved working on that, and Karai has become one of my favorite TMNT characters since then.
That's awesome. All right, so Tom and Cory, this is kind of like a me question, but you both worked on the Ninja Turtles Ghostbusters crossover.
Yeah.
And Tom, you even went on to co-write the sequel. But how did that project come about, and what was it like bringing these two iconic '80s quartets together?
You know, actually, Cory mentioned a name that I think is very important in IDW Turtles history is Eric Burnham. and Eric's had a huge part in building, from the foundation up what our turtles have become, including now he writes the Saturday Morning Adventures series. It's really popular. But that was kind of like one of those situations. Eric would come out to, he's from Minnesota. He lives way up Minnesota, and he would come out and hang out in my house during Comic-Con in San Diego. And we just said, BS about things, and we kept saying, like, what would be a fun team up would be the Ghostbusters and Turtles. Well, it so happened that I was writing the Turtles at the same time I was editing Ghostbusters for IDW, and actually they kind of ran concurrently, because Ghostbusters at IDW ran for about 11 years, right alongside the 100 issues I wrote for Turtles. And so it's funny how, think of how many crossovers you see now, but at the time, Ghostbusters has kind of had a resurgence, but it was pretty quiet at the time. We were kind of, I thought, rejuvenated, and I think Ghostbusters is probably one of my proudest projects. And I didn't, I normally would talk about stuff I write, but as far as being an editor, Ghostbusters is something I'm extremely proud of. And that, again, we had a very consistent team. It was Luis Delgado, who works on Turtles now, Dan Schoening is artist, and Eric writing. And so we sat and we threw story ideas at each other. And so I said, let me ask Nickelodeon if they'd be interested, because I had already asked Ghost Corps, and they said, yeah, we'd like to do a crossover if Nickelodeon was interested. So we go to Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon kind of looked at it like, what's in it for us? It's, nobody's really paying attention to Ghostbusters very much right now. We're not really sure if we're ready to do crossovers. But like Fero said, sometimes you got to stalk. And so I kept bugging them. I kept bugging them at Nickelodeon, and they finally said, all right, you can do four issues. And I thought, I want to make this count. So I thought, let's make it different. And I said, well, we have both licenses, and they were both great. They're both great licensors to work with. Ghost Corps was awesome, and Nickelodeon is awesome. And I said, do you guys care if we make it matter where what's happening in this universe is also happening in that universe? Because they had a long ongoing series with Ghostbusters. And they said, do what you want. Because they really thought nobody would pay attention. So Eric and I wrote a story that if you were reading the Ghostbusters series, it mattered. It counted to that series, just like if you're reading the Turtle series, this crossover had ramifications literally all the way to Armageddon game. And so we just sat down and said, let's have fun. They gave us the toys, let's play with them. And what happened was, it was very popular. It came out. It was the first series was really well received. Suddenly it was, who can we cross them over with next? The Turtles. Now it's working. Next thing you know, they're crossing over with Batman. So it kind of opened the door to the multiple crossovers we had. But it was just such a natural connection, the two teams, the four personalities, very distinct personalities of the Ghostbusters, very distinct personalities on the Turtles, kind of complemented each other. You've got Janine, you've got April. It was all there. It just needed somebody to kind of just pay attention to it and kind of give it some TLC. And Eric's such a wonderful writer and a wonderful partner to work with. It was more of a in a way, kind of like a fan fiction thing that turned out to be something that I think had ramifications for both series, and then allowed us to do a second series. Our dream, I always say this, is it was meant to be a trilogy. Unfortunately, IDW had lost the license over the years. The Ghostbusters license has gone over to Dark Horse. But I still bug the editors at IDW and say, can you ask the Dark Horse editors? Maybe we can do another crossover and finish this trilogy. But it was something that really worked out so well that in the second series, we were able to bring in other artists like Cory and stuff besides Dan to really kind of explain. Actually, you were on the first one.
Yeah,
you were on the first one because we had the
few pages. I think I did the Turtles universe pages before they transported into the.
That's right. So Cory was there in the first one, and like I said, it was just one of those things. Again, you just throw out there and hope it comes back at you, and this one did.
Awesome. And so Turtles, like you said, have crossed over with so many people. And speaking of those crossovers, Fero, you've done some incredible art for both Ninja Turtles Stranger Things and Ninja Turtles Godzilla. So what franchise would be your dream choice to draw the Turtles interacting with next?
Wow.
Say the devil. Say the devil.
And just that they want all the fans want to see. If I can draw it, that would be a dream. But I know that there is a line to artists that want to draw and write this crossover. But yeah, that was one. That was the final crossover with Ninja Turtles.
I want to do Fantastic Four too.
Yes.
That's what I always wanted to do.
No,
I'm there. Like, yeah, that'd be awesome. I love like I always wanted to sort of like Fantastic Four crossover, like the two best like 4-person comic book teams. It's meant to be. You know, what advice would any of you give to like anyone who wants to break into the comics industry?
I guess Stone already gave that.
Yeah, I think it's just like about anything, right? It's if you want to do something, you have to do it. I mean, that's the first step. If you want to be an artist and you don't draw, then you don't really want to be an artist. You have to draw. If you want to be a writer, you have to write. You know, if you want to be a carpenter, you better get your saw out and start cutting some wood. You know, and everybody has a talent. You know, everybody has skills. We all have radar. I don't know why I can write stories. I tell my wife all the time. People think you're weird sometimes when you do what we do, but it's just I just had that a radar I have. For some reason, those stories come to me. I don't take credit for them. I just am able to pick up on that signal. And I bring up carpentry. My dad's a carpenter, and he can do things with wood. I can burn wood. That's the best thing I can do is burn it. You know, and my dad can build whole bedroom sets and all kinds of crazy things. I don't know how he sees that. I have friends that are mechanics that can look at a vehicle and just fix the thing, and I'm like, say, what goes in this thing right here? I don't know. We all have skills and talents, but specifically to like artwork and comics, even more specifically, it's a tough gig, and it is hard to break in. You know, sometimes it's who you know, where you're at, right place, right time. But if you do find yourself in that right place, right time, have something to show. Have something that you can share for that person who might be able to give you that opportunity to look at and go, wow, yeah, this is really good. And also, I say this to kids, especially nowadays, because there's so much like cyberbullying and all this stuff that's happening in the world. You have to have thick skin. Everybody needs to grow thick skin. Don't take things personally. If I could, let's do fake math. Here's the stuff that I've had published. Here's the stuff I've had rejected. That's just how it works. And you know what? All this stuff made this stuff better. You know, you learn from your mistakes. They're just opportunities to get better. Don't get down on yourself. Not everybody is going to be Alan Moore. You know what? Not everybody's going to be like Johnny Bench. I mean, the old baseball player, right? But there's always those journeyman baseball players that have long careers and they get to play pro baseball. They might not have their name in lights, but guess what? They made a living doing it and they did what they love. So just follow your heart, you know, and don't give up. And don't let other people value you. Your value is what you give yourself, not what other people do. No matter what it is. It doesn't even have to be comics, it could be anything. Just stick to your guns, do what you want, do it to the best of your ability, and at the end of the day, if you can respect yourself, that's the most important thing.
Beautiful. All right, so now let's open the floor to questions from any of you guys in the audience. If there's anything you'd like to ask any of these creators, please just raise your hand and I'll call on you. Yeah. Anybody has anything?
I rehearsed that thing out. This question is for Cory and Mateus because you guys were working back to back on the 100 book series, right? Yeah. And you guys are really detailed. And along the way, you design a lot of characters that goes into with the storyline. Do you ever curse at each other
I'll
and
take
design on their books? And which character?
I'm pretty sure that Cory cursed me a lot. Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
That
Fero cursed me these days. What is it? Did you design this character?
Nobody's
Why?
happy.
Why?
And those the fly mouser things in issue 49 or 50 or whatever. Yeah, those were
great, man.
They were great. Tone it down a bit. Take breaks more often.
Yeah, I never suffered with Cory yet. I just give them the pain.
Right, this is for any of you who want to answer. Is working for Marvel any better or worse than working for anybody else?
You know what? I've been doing a lot of work with Marvel lately, and I have a great relationship with them. As a matter of fact, I felt really bad because they had some layoffs recently, and some of the people that were let go were people I really enjoyed working with. So my personal experience with Marvel has been really good. There's a lot of stuff that, again, we talk about the internet, and I talk about cyberbullying. There's so much BS online that you see stuff in the news or people talking, especially on forums, and people will. I've seen people say things about IDW when I was there, they'll say, "This is happening at IDW because of this," and I'll say, I ran that meeting. I was in that meeting. That never happened. That seems like pretend. I mean, I hate to use the term, but it's like there is fake news, and it's all the time. People just make up stuff. As far as like my relationship with Marvel versus my relationship with IDW, I think just one company is massive, and IDW for many years was smaller. But I also have a very intimate relationship because I worked there for so many years. But ultimately, there is no hidden agenda or people saying, "Oh, do this and do that because we're woke or we're not woke or whatever." It's editors who have a hard job and a lot of deadlines, and they're given projects, and they need to find the right creators and the right people to bring them to life. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But it's never for lack of effort, at least my experience.
I only did small gigs for Marvel. My only complaint, I can compare to IDW because I don't get royalties in any of those cases, so and that's my only complaint. So, yeah.
Just to tag off what Tom was saying about the editors and their workload and how I'll say Bobby Kernow at IDW is the most like locked in editor I think I've ever worked with on any project. Like he really cared and he was really like involved in the story.
Oh yeah, I really miss Bobby. Yeah,
he was on top of things in a way that like I haven't really experienced too many other times with too many other companies.
Yeah. Bobby was special, and that was like, again, I think that's why the book has lasted so long as it has, was because Bobby was there for so long. It basically became like almost like an operating system in a way, and it still kind of continues to work that way, even with the new editors and the new people in charge at IDW.
Cool. Any other questions? Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about glasses on the Hulk?
Glasses on the Hulk? They better be pretty rugged ones because they probably get broken all the time.
They'll fall off.
Give them those ones that we used to get in the military,
BCGs.
That's it.
So is there a very specific meaning to having a scar over the left eye? Like I've noticed a lot of characters have it, and an untold
Secret History.
Yes, thank you. The Foot Clan. Karai it's pretty.
Oh no.
Oh, Untold
Destiny.
Destiny of the Foot Clan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Karai is pretty
Karai.
a big part of the story that Karai gets that
Yeah.
the scar over the left eye. Is there a very specific meaning, or is it just like
I
some
mean,
characters are bad?
I mean, I don't know. Like in both cases, in Secret History, Shredder gets a scar on the left eye, and then, but Karai gets his scar on Armageddon again, I guess, right?
Yeah, that was just something that they talked about in the editorial, and I think they just wanted.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
And
why
in Secret History, in my case, it's because on a previous, I think it was Leonardo one shot. I'm not sure which issue it is. Shredder appears as a regular ninja, as this guy as a regular ninja, and the way that they I think it was Sophie, right? To separate him from the other ninjas was like you can see his scar.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was creating the origin, I say I'm going to create how the scar came to be, but I never thought about it yet.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I think it was more like an aesthetic thing, like kind of like drawing kind of a parallel between her and her grandfather.
There's a lot of
like history repeats kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, in the case of the turtles, but if you think about it, I mean, like Loki on Lost also had like a scar on the left eye, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Maybe it's just it's cool aesthetic.
That's it.
There's no conspiracy. Look, nobody loves conspiracies more than me, but this one I knew. He and I were souls that were meant to work together, because when we were doing City Fall, we had an issue of I think it was 22, or I can't remember what the issue was, but Kitsune brainwashes Leonardo to bring him over to the Foot Clan. That's how he becomes the Dark Leo. And I was thinking, let's make this like MK Ultra Monarch programming stuff. And I told Mateus, and Mateus knew exactly what I was talking about. And so he drew the original cover. There were like little butterflies all around Kitsune. And I thought, oh, we're gonna get this past Nickelodeon. And the first note back from Nickelodeon was like, none of that Monarch programming stuff. And I'm like, and my first thought was like, how do you know this?
It was subtle, right?
Yeah.
It was just like it's silly like
And they
that,
called it out
the
right away.
butterflies coming
Yeah.
over her head.
I didn't say it.
No.
Yeah. And they were like, none of that Monarch programming stuff. And then my first thought was like, why do you know that's what that is?
So across multiple adaptations, the turtles, sometimes they're the same species of turtles, sometimes they're all different. What's your favorite take?
You know, I personally, I never thought about that, personally. I just, first of all, I figured they're like men that look like turtles, you know, I never thought about the specific species, but when we started working on Last Ronin, that was something that Kevin really wanted to kind of lean into, that he wanted it to be kind of species specific. Matter of fact, I didn't realize how many species of turtles there were until we started working on it, and then they showed me this chart, and I was like, holy crap, there's a lot of turtles in this world. And that was something that I think just visually, he and Ben Bishop, who helped design the newer turtles, that was just something that they were kind of keying in on. But I don't really have a preference. I think one of the key dynamics for me was early on, if the turtles are all colored the same, and especially when they had the same color bandanas, unless you see their weapons, it's hard to tell them apart. So yeah, so when for me the color different bandanas is just one way of you can tell the stories where they're not always having to carry their weapons, because they wouldn't. They're at home sometimes. But I think early on in our coloring scheme for the series, we gave them different kind of palettes. So each turtle has kind of a specific green that's their color, and I like that, because then it's just storytelling wise, you don't always have to have them saying each other's name, which wouldn't feel natural. So people can look at it and go, oh, that's Leonardo, that's Raphael. I don't need to see the Sai or the katana. But as far as species, I just figured they're just like turtles that got turned into men, or I guess teenage boys.
All right. So I think that's all the time we have for this panel. But let's give one more round of applause to our awesome creators. All right. Thanks so much, guys. This was a lot of fun. So be sure to stick around. We got 2 more amazing panels tonight. Next up is going to be the Mirage panel, hosted by my good friend John Waugh. So that's going to be awesome. And then after that, I'll be back on for a Last Ronin panel. So yeah, let's. The party continues. So see you in a little bit. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
How we doing, guys? Is everyone having fun? Can you tell it's me among all the noise? They're just doing some photo ops. I'm going to show you what I'm auctioning all show tonight. Yes, it's 30 of these. Over and over, baby. You want all 4 turtles, all 4 Mirage turtles? You can get them.
You guys were awesome. That was a lot of fun.
You want 1 Raphael? You can get that too. You want to just chill and watch the show, hang out with us? You're always welcome to do that, whether you're buying stuff or not, during any show. Thanks for chilling with us, guys. Do a little intermission. Run some mask pins. And do a little TMNT and chill.
You guys get tired? If you wanted to walk back, you got to leave. You hitchhike.
That'll make me more tired.
Beers, all the stuff. Oh, feel free to ask questions.
How did you just have
Everybody came out and was like, so it's like a very Mirage. Yes, they used to have tail. Yeah. So I
Welcome in, guys. We're doing a brief intermission. The next panel will start in about, well, it's scheduled for about 5 minutes. If you check the show notes, it has a schedule of all tonight's panels. Next up is Mirage. So go ahead and click at the show notes so you can see which Mirage artists will be featured on the panel. It's gonna be fun. And then after that, we have a Last Ronin panel. We'll be here till about 8:45 Eastern, 9 o'clock tonight. And then we'll be back on tomorrow where you can come with me and shop the booths of all these turtle creators and more. Get stuff signed, buy some of their swag, or just hang out with us for that show too. You know, you're always welcome to just TMNT and chill here. But thanks no matter what you're doing here for joining us, because you guys make this whole thing happen. Jason, you're not invited. I don't remember inviting you, JC. I have it scheduled for 10, but that's when doors open. I will be at the Turtle Den setting up and getting everything ready around 8 a.m. I'm going to kind of make my rounds and talk to everybody, let them know what we're doing, figure out the best way to shop each booth, and then I plan to go live at 10 a.m. It really all depends on what Ralph needs of me. I'll keep you guys updated, but the plan is still 10 a.m. If Ralph says, hey, Nick, I need you to run the Turtle Den for an hour, I'll find something fun to either fill that time with, or, you know, I'll let you guys know what's happening. But for now, it's all scheduled. Tomorrow's stuff is scheduled to start at 10 a.m. So if it's going to be any later or earlier, I will try to give adequate notice, but these things tend to be a little fly by the seat of the pants sometimes, so just bear with me. But I'm going to bring you guys as much cool stuff as I can, let you shop as many cool dudes as I can. That's why I'm mad at JC, because he's supposed to be here. We're supposed to be playing Splintered Fate right now.
Some kids came down reading there in the store. They started reading. I go, but don't read some of mine.
Ow! Whoa! Dude, yeah, so guys, the shaky camera at the beginning, I set this up beautifully. I had everything squared away, and then someone does this. And I'm like, really? But it's all good. It's all in good fun. Oh, you don't say, JC. I'll be seeing you there. I think I'm also going to try to run at Heroes Con in June. Next month, I want to try to organize a big, fun turtle raid train across Whatnot. And I've got a number of other plans too. So May, we're going to try to get the turtle train off the ground, the raid train off the ground. Try to get as many cool sellers as I can to join in on that. And we also have some cool interactive gaming shows planned where I'll be running stuff, but JC has volunteered, and anyone is free to game. We'll put it up streaming while the show is running, and you guys can join in the game and be on stream. We'll put the room code up for Splintered Fate so you guys can join that. So if anyone plays Splintered Fate, definitely join us for those shows. They'll be coming up soon. JC, I'd love to do it Monday. We haven't discussed it. It was supposed to be the Monday before I came here, but I decided I was coming up early. I really needed to, in retrospect. I say let's plan on it. I will talk to you about it after this. I'll shoot you a message. And we can, or I'll hit you in the mod chat in Discord, and we can hash it out. But I would love to do that. I think that's going to be so much fun. Even if it's just you and me, like joining in on the game. Like I'll hop in and out. We'll get you through them rooms, but yeah. Sorry for that shaky cam, guys. I know that was not the best way. I just literally, man. I cannot tell you how. You guys thought you were frustrated. She would not let me take Sasha. She would never let me do that. I agree, JC. Sasha should be here. I mean, she's missing out. This would have been a great experience for her. She would have loved all these people. Sasha doesn't travel. She shakes.
Yeah.
What day and time do you come to spend with your daughter who has been literally pouting for days? I just missed that one, sweetie. I'll be back. Oh, I'll be back Sunday night, God willing. Sasha does. You guys don't see it, but every time we sell, especially early IDW stuff, Sasha gets right up from under her blanket, where you guys know she chills every show, and she's like, "Papa, did we sell an early IDW?" I say, "Yeah." Look at all these mods. How's Facebook going, JC? He's like, whoa, I'm in trouble. I think my YouTube mod is MIA right now. Dude, I'm live on Facebook every show, bud. That's your job, every show. I'm totally joking, man. The only reason you guys would, and you don't need to, but if you want to chill on those sides of the chat, this is just people say stuff over there, and it's hard for me to do all 4 streams at once. I'm trying to do it. I've got another phone, so that's how I'm kind of doing. I'm rolling with you guys tonight. So we're live on Facebook, we're live on Twitch, and we're live on YouTube as we speak. Facebook and YouTube will have the video available for replay after the show. I actually boosted the Facebook one too because I was like, let's see what this does. So there might be people talking over there. I'll go look. Yeah, definitely subscribe to the YouTube. We're gonna have a lot more fun shows like this. Some I can talk about, some I really can't talk about just yet. JC, I'm just giving you shit, man. You don't have to do any of that.
I'll give you a wristlet.
Good luck, John.
Raise your hand. That wasn't me.
Well, that's why,
Hey, lady in the back rows, give me a drink.
Waitress.
That lady was back there. That's how I got through.
Hi.
Hi. How you ladies doing back there?
Good.
Nice. Oh, wait. All right. Cowabunga one and all. Cowabunga. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So, we're going to kind of split this up now. We've already talked about the IDW. We've got the Roninverse coming up. But now we're going to go back in time to see how the Turtles started with these legends who helped them get going. So first off, we have Steve Lavigne, the bassist for Michelangelo, and you became the licensing art director as the Turtles first kind of blew up there. So Steve, say hi to everybody.
I am, man. Michelangelo.
The band.
And he did lettering on early issues and a number of other things. Okay, I'll stop that. I've been trying so hard not to fill in this whole time. Time for me to shut up again.
There was
Bob Atello, there was Chuck, there was Timmy, and I believe Simon was the last turtle.
Simon, yes, everyone's favorite, Simon the Turtle. Next up, we've got Eric.
No, we don't.
Oh. It's okay to have it. I'm just bouncing. Then we've also got Jim, who was the master, Jim Lawson, who was behind the tales of the TMNT series, also the creator of The Rat King. One of my personal favorites.
Kathy, my wife, you got it flat.
Putting her on the spot, jeez. Next up, we've got AC Farley.
Fuck no. Oh, sorry.
Turtles After Dark.
Sorry, Franklin's not here.
Oh, okay.
I'm standing in.
We have his stunt double.
We have
his stunt double is
artist
Matt. Yes. Matt Smith is stunt double.
Smith.
We have Matt Smith here as well, and then so we have Matt Smith, and then also
Come on.
we've got the man himself, Quentin Eastman. Without them, with Kevin's uncle, without him, you wouldn't have the Ninja Turtles. See how fun that first issue. So I do want to start with a question specifically for Quentin. What went through your mind when Kevin brought you this Ninja Turtles page?
You.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to. It was 1984, so it's kind of hard to remember back that far. But I was visiting he and Peter on a fairly regular basis, and Fugitoid. I thought Fugitoid was very cool. Not a comic book guy in particular, anyway. But I like Fugitoid, and he showed me the Turtles. I did not understand the connection whatsoever. I didn't understand that the Turtles were a spoof and all of that. So it's just kind of like, enthusiasm kind of drives things for people sometimes. These guys were enthusiastic. Well, they're that enthusiastic. It must be good. So I just believed in it because I had a lot of faith in Kevin. I watched him grow up. And you could tell he certainly had faith when he was so I guess that's the best answer I can give you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you again for all that. And now, so the Turtles, like how you mentioned, kind of started off as a little bit of a spoof, but you guys, a lot of you guys were there for when it, exploded. What was the moment when you guys kind of looked at everything that was coming out and when you went, oh, this is a thing? Was it the toys? Was it the movie?
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy.
Yeah. It was a Jeopardy question. And Alex Trebek said the Turtles' names, and I remember living with Kevin at the time and going, what? Is this? Alex Trebek just said Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and said their names. That was crazy. It was crazy. That was the first time it seemed it wasn't just us, digging it. It was out there.
Cool. All right. So I do have a weird question regarding, the movies themselves. The movies kind of took off in the late 80s, early 90s. The second movie, Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, featured Vanilla Ice. Did any of you guys get to meet Vanilla Ice?
No, it's funny. I think we all got to go down to the first movie, to the set, but the second movie was put together. I don't know, Eric, did you go down? Yeah, you did. I but we got to go down to the first movie set, but the second one was 6 months later. They were really putting the whole thing together, and it was becoming what became Turtles 2. So I think we're just still in the whole afterglow of the first movie. We're all dealing with all the licensing stuff and different stuff that was going on, so it was very different,
Yeah, I feel like the first movie, by the time the first movie finished, we were kind of just working on the comics and the licensing was kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
But we were definitely more involved with each other and traveling and doing stuff around the first movie. The second movie, we didn't visit the set.
Like I said, I think we really just kind of shocked. It was literally 6 months to 8 months later, the movie was in theaters.
And then it rolled pretty quickly from there too. So that was part of it as well. It's going from telling people that you know, if that's what you do, you say the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they say, what? Say that again? And then you say Teenage Mutant, they finish Ninja Turtles. Then it kind of exploded from there. And at that point, it was kind of like it was a little bit of a blur. Everything was just.
Well, I mean, we were all, the sad thing and awesome thing at the same time was there was a finite amount of people working on the property, so we were literally like everything that came in, we were like, sure, I can do that. Oh, yep, I can do that. You know, we didn't know what we were doing, but we said yes, because that's all we knew how to say.
You know, it was kind of like, hold on, here we go.
Yeah.
Without even knowing that we were going to go that route, you know. Like at one point, I like to think about it, it's like at one point, we were just kind of doing the Turtles and nobody knew who they were. And we were doing the comics.
I feel like that was almost the whole time we were doing it. Yeah. But at the same time, they were out there, but I think we were just kind of doing it. You know, like we weren't watching the Saturday morning cartoon or the everyday cartoon. It wasn't even Saturday morning. You know, we just kind of, everything that came up, we were just saying, yeah, sure, yeah, I'll take care of that. Yeah.
I remember being on Finn Street and you guys were getting VHS tapes with theme songs and footage of the first 5 episodes without any like
nothing else. Yeah, I remember even like the early cereal commercials would come through and there'd be paper animation, you know, just black and white stuff all the way through, and you're like no sound or nothing. You're like, oh, it looks pretty cool. What's it gonna be? But when it came out, it was way better than we ever thought.
We would be in the Cutlery Building, which is like a big studio that we all worked in. And this was around the time when the first movie was kicking off, and Henson would send in, again, VHS tapes, and it would be the little turtles walking around.
Yeah, the baby turtles,
all together watch that stuff.
Yeah, and we had to sign non-disclosures, like we all had people we were going to tell it to. You're like, oh my God, I can't wait to get out there on TMZ and tell them about the turtles. You know, it was like there was nothing, but they made us sign non-disclosures before we could look at the VHS tapes.
But it was cool because it was like it wasn't footage. It was
like
the puppets. Right? Yeah, it was like the puppets they made, and it was all the guys in the Henson studio like hamming it up with the camera and then making them walk around, do goofy shit. And it was like I remember the
baby turtles first. We got those, and then we got the heads afterwards. But the babies were kind of. You know, we were like, oh, okay.
But this must have been, what year would that have been? That would have been
90, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, we had a big studio that we worked in.
But at that time, the animatronics was kind of like state of the art, right?
Well, but that's why we had to sign non-disclosure agreements, because it was the first time that a animatronic head could be put on an actual physical human. It used to have to be on a mannequin, and then they just shoot it as a mannequin. But this is the first time from the waist up. Because, I mean, the turtles, from the waist down, they were cables coming out of their shells, so they couldn't really do anything other than, it was kind of from the waist up, but it was the head being able to talk and do all that stuff. And we had this, and it was just so funny, like I said, we had to sign non-disclosures, like we were going to be...
You're going to sell it to stock.
Right, we were like, hey, Mr. Lucas, I've got something I want to show you.
This is going to blow up.
It was not happening, you know, we didn't have that connection.
I will say that the Henson studio, if you watch that stuff and you see those suits, they still hold up, which I think is really cool. Like if you watch that stuff, everything that came out at that time, this was way better, by far, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, it was, again, the cool thing was, like, at the beginning of I know we keep talking about the movie, but at the onset of the movie, it was kind of a chop socky, a Hong Kong movie, and that's literally what, and we were all like, yes, this is awesome. It doesn't matter.
Golden Harvest made all those movies. So
yeah, but they did. But then Steve Barron, who directed Billie Jean in Aha Video, he became the director, and when he got in place, he kind of took it to another level and brought Henson in and stuff like that, which is crazy because it was definitely not going to be. They at one time, I know they had Gallagher and Billy, four. No, I'm not even kidding. 4 of the biggest comedians at that time were going to voice the turtles.
Candy.
I don't even think it was Candy. I feel like it was
somebody like that. They were going to paint him green.
Yeah, but I mean that was again like in between the chop socky stuff, so it was really effed up, to begin with. And thank God that Steve Barron became the director because it would have been a hot mess.
The other thing I think happened was Brian Henson was trying to I don't think he had done. I think he was doing the storyteller, maybe. I don't know time frame wise, but I think it was his time to shine above his father.
Well, he was the second unit director.
Yeah, so I think there was a lot of pieces in play that, you know, again, were fortunate timing wise that this stuff came together the way it did. So.
That's very cool. Do you guys get to like wear the turtle suit? No, I'm just kidding. You brought up an interesting thing about all of the merchandising and all of that kind of like kicking off. Was there one thing when you guys got a request for something that you kind of went like, this is too much? Because I remember growing up and there was like Ninja Turtles on everywhere. I think there were like Ninja Turtles and stuff.
Oh,
on it. So,
you mean like crazy like packaging or crazy things?
Like what was the
my craziest thing? I will stick by this 100%. Because I did a lot of the licensing art.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember back in the day, there were for little kids, boys, and you know, a shaving kit that came with foam and a razor with no blades in it, and you would just spray it on your face and shave. And, oh, that's a great thing. Turtles have no hair. So basically, that I had to do, like, I did the packaging for that, and it was like, they have no hair. Can we do Splinter shaving himself? They're like, yeah, nope, it's turtles. I'm like, they have no hair. What do you do? You know, so it's basically, you know, nothing. It was like Superman. Superman, same thing. Kind of like, I've never seen Superman with stubble.
Yeah.
You know, does he have super stubble? Does he need, you know, so with the turtles, it was kind of that weird thing. It was that was the weirdest product that I, you know, like, again, it just made no sense at all.
So the flip side of that, was there a toy that you guys kind of pitched that you, to this day, think should have gone through? Was it whether it was like a character design or maybe like a vehicle or something?
We did weird, like, Sky Carl would come out from Playmates and we'd like hang out in the studio and we'd
He'd come out twice a year.
Yeah, and we'd just draw weird stuff and we.
Well, remember they came in with a wish list. They always had a wish list of mutated things, you know, we like, I'll take the kangaroo, you know. It wasn't quite that much, but it was kind of like that, you know, they had a wish list, and I think they gave the same thing to Varna Studios, if I'm not mistaken. You know, they kind of had them do their version, because we had a lot of back and forth with Varna.
We were like the early stages. We would just sit there and spitball weird stuff. And then it would like, things that clicked or a drawing would get done, and then it would go further from there. But there wasn't no like rhyme or reason to a lot of it. There was no plan. It was just us hanging out as a bunch of friends drawing.
The good thing was Kevin and Pete owned the property.
Yeah.
You know, so that was the beauty of it, was we weren't pitching to a corporation. We were pitching to our friends. You know, and to it, in essence, you know, I mean, Playmates was there, but we'd also be able to throw something at them and let them kind of.
They never gave up control, so they had to listen to us.
Right.
We gotta help them. They had to listen to us.
For better or worse.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking better. You know,
but at the same time, the other part of it was that like some of us were focused on the comics, some of us were focused on doing packaging art. You know.
I mean, I feel like I did everything. I was still doing covers and lettering and doing packaging and doing anything.
Yeah.
I think we said yes.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. That's one of the cool things about Mirage, especially you guys kind of hit like right as like Image was gonna be a thing. Like, so it's kind of like you guys are like
before that
precursor of that.
Oh yeah.
Like you guys kind of like hit like a little bit right before that indie boom, and then when you're looking at stuff like Dark Horse and all that, they're kind of bringing in their own stuff.
It was definitely the success story. Like everything that Kevin and Pete did, everybody aspired to.
Yeah, I think they kind of started it, right?
Yeah, I think that
everybody that left companies looked at Kevin and Pete.
Yeah, I think the Image guys, you know, Sin was doing it with the Cerebus. There was like a group of people that were doing it. Usagi was definitely doing it.
But he was going to
Of course.
And a lot of those guys from Image were doing the mainstream comics, but then they saw the success of handling your own property through Kevin and Pete, what Mirage was doing. So I think that was like a roadmap.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool when you think about the history of the comics industry.
Yeah, I mean, leading up to that, any success story was controlled by two companies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Period.
of course,
There was two companies that had control of everything.
Well, other than minor, lesser companies. But yeah, no, I mean, agree. Yeah, I mean, that's just it. Yeah, I mean, that was it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And, you know, Matt, I know you worked as an intern
right?
Right. And now you've done some Hellboy.
I love
stuff.
Matt's style.
So how?
Yes.
Yes.
That is correct, sir.
Any crazy intern stories that you can tell, and then also like, did you
Oh my
learn
God.
anything that you've now kind of like?
He would have to be there after dark to hear any good stories.
I don't know. I mean, it was pretty inspirational just being in the same town and watching you guys go.
So Matt actually didn't work at Mirage.
Yeah.
But Matt was fringely connected. He was working at the Works and Pictures Museum, and I think we all recognized Matt. You did Alec Dear.
Yeah, Alec Dear. It
Which was a Xeric grant book that Pete had put together a whole project to fund young people like Matt. So I think we all saw Matt and knew Matt from the museum, and Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
So Matt was strangely connected in the fact that he was in the town at the studio.
I was around.
Yeah.
But has since gone on to do
Amazing
what have you
things,
done,
yeah.
Matt?
Yeah, well, some Hellboy stuff.
There we go. Yeah.
Stuff for Boom, Folklorids, and stuff for Image, Blink of Fire.
None of that says Mirage.
No, but Mirage was, I watched
Again,
you guys.
very nice meeting.
Watching you guys going to work, and I thought, I'd like to be like those guys.
But you've exceeded far
Right,
beyond
you've gone beyond
anything we've done.
That's
Yeah.
awfully nice of you to say.
That's what I would say.
And I'm with Jim on that.
Yeah.
So
Deservedly so.
What was the question?
So basically, like, what did you learn in your time interning at the Words and Pictures Museum that have you kind of
That
like
was
taken
not-
in
I was not nearly cool enough to be part of Mirage. That's what
No, you weren't alcoholic enough to
You didn't know where the watering hole was. No, hey, winner.
Oh, sorry.
No, I didn't know that.
Sorry.
So, to circle real quick back to the toys, you mentioned that you could kind of like pitch stuff to Peter and Kevin. How did like those mashups come into play? Like I remember like they were like Star Trek. They were like Star Trek Ninja Turtle mashups, and then there was like the Universal Monsters and stuff like that.
I feel like that stuff kind of came later on.
And that, I think that came from Playmates, right?
Yeah. I think that was stuff they kind of came up with as seeing like several, desirable properties, the whole mashup thing. And, Mike Dooney's not here, but I feel like he
Was the mashup god.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the Turtles at some point reached the status where they could be matched up with this stuff, and I think Playmates was, maybe progressively, building their reputation at the same time, so they got the licenses.
Yeah, well, I think that's
why
it.
not connect these?
Yeah, that's it. Playmates also got the licenses to
That was like
to
post.
Paramount, so they had the Star Trek license. They were doing the Star Trek toys, so after Galoob did, I think they got that
There
stuff.
was like
So
Star Wars.
I don't think they heard about Star Wars.
No,
Was there
was.
one that you
Yeah.
wished that they got?
Star Wars? I don't remember that.
No.
Mike?
That was like post all the creative stuff that we were doing. Because obviously, there's not a lot of creativity in turning a turtle into a Captain Kirk.
Hey, I'm got Mike Dooney, if you're watching this video right now, Eric said that. No, I
AC
agree.
Farley said that. I'm right.
Yeah. All right, AC, quiet down. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it was kind of like there was a lot of things that we applied it all to. There was a lot of applications of the Turtles to different themes, whether it was military, athletic, whatever, and it eventually became pop culture.
It also grew. It wasn't the only thing we were doing. That's the other part of this. It's like the toys are like, sure, it's a focal point and everybody knows it, but we were still making comics and we were still doing art together. The toys were like,
yeah.
The toys were like the sweet gig where you make a lot of money if you did that.
The toys made money and the comic really wasn't making money. So,
Right. But the comic was way more satisfying, I would say. Would you guys say? Like as an artistic?
Me like you the toys. Just saying.
Did you guys have a favorite story that you from the Mirage era, whether it was something you did or what the others did?
There's so
nothing we can talk about.
Really?
I don't know.
Favorite
story?
Like a
From the comics.
No.
Yeah,
I'm like, really? I just see comics out. Right?
We're gonna get some dirt.
If you don't want to talk about them, Jim, that's fine.
My favorite is Return to New York. That was probably when I think that
I think that
we as a studio were really.
I think that was prime. That was prime. Yeah.
Peak.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think that I can't disagree with it. I feel like Return to New York is by far, the coolest shit.
My favorite.
Yeah. I mean.
And then my other issues. No.
And everything else, everything Eric did is the best.
That's it.
Eric Talbot, if there's ET on it, it's great. That's
because it was funny because Pete and Kevin kind of became very hands off as the other part of the business grew. I think
I'm sure reluctantly, but yeah.
Yeah. So
as you can imagine, if you're running something like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and it's growing, whether you want it to or not, or whether you expect it to or not, it does take over your life, and I think it did take over their lives, and that's kind of where we stepped in and tried to keep.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird. Yeah,
it was a tag off.
Yeah.
Exactly. You guys take over, and we'll see what goes on from there. I mean, they were still a big, huge part of it, but I think that's where.
But Kevin had Tundra. So
I know, it's probably the worst part of
taken
their
away.
lives in a certain way.
Yeah.
No, I mean, because
you're watching
it was great. There was a lot of money going on, but they wanted to be comic book artists. They wanted to be artists. That was their whole thing, their whole life. So for them, I'm sure it was incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Incredibly difficult to just be business managers.
As artists, yeah.
And then in their part-time was trying to do creative shit.
Yeah.
And that has to be painful as hell, at that stage. They were literally at the pinnacle where they could be just doing the best of the best, but they were businessmen.
Something else that I think was going on that I think I've recently become aware of is like if you look at some of the sketches they had to do, they were doing sketches for movies.
They were amazing.
But they weren't really doing that in the studio. So Mirage existed as like a group of us hanging out to a certain point.
Doing absolutely nothing, just
we would go on toy buying trips.
Yeah, and then if we were
play
then we'd go
basketball.
buy beer. Beer in toys.
No, we were working. The books didn't come out always on time, but we were working.
Yep.
But then those guys were doing stuff behind the scenes that I think even we didn't see.
No, I mean, I think we all have seen it later. A lot of the stuff that they were, like you said, doing sketches for character designs, and a lot of stuff that we ended up doing later ourselves, but they were doing it as well as having to be business managers. Being the worst part of their thing was doing that. Having to run a company. I'm sure when they wanted to draw pictures.
That's like creative.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they want to be creative guys. So I mean, it was incredible, and it's great. But at the same time, I'm sure it handicapped them.
Yeah, I mean, we were in a big room together every day up to a point, and then Kevin wasn't there that much, and Pete wasn't there that much, and we were still there.
Yeah, and then Pete would show up and go toy shopping, and Kevin would show up and go to the hole. It was just kind of a. It was just.
But we
a
did.
dynamic. There was a dynamic.
We had to go toy shopping because we had to be on the cusp of what's happening in the industry.
Oh yes, I mean not for our collections, for knowledge.
Yeah, we didn't need.
Not for the stuff that we're putting in our crappy studios. Knowledge.
So one of the things that we would do, this is not really relevant, but we would go on toy shopping trips and Pete would buy excessive numbers of Rancors. Remember this? The Rancors?
So I was up visiting Pete this past week. I actually brought that up to him. And I said, so our boy Ryan Brown, who was in the studio, he was our toy boy. He kind of got us all addicted to toys. And at one point, Ryan schmoozed the Toys R Us manager in West Springfield, I believe. And we got to go in behind where all the discounted crap toys were going to be crushed into plastic. So there was a wealth of Rancors, I believe. I think you got an Imperial Cruiser for like 50 cents. They were like, it was like, you want some Rancors? We have 40 Rancors. He's like, I'll take 30 of those at 50 cents a piece.
We also had the dark sides. He was on the dark side.
Oh yeah, it was the dark sides. Yeah.
Everybody had at least 2 or 3 dark sides.
Well, because those were the only things left in
in the aisle.
They were also
Yeah.
cool. They
But,
had,
but
like
it was-
light piping in
Yeah,
the eyes.
the Omega beam, yeah. But yeah, so it was just very funny. I remember, like that toy trip, Pete bought every Rancor he could put his hands up, but then he shot him apart with airsoft guns. And I told him that. I'm like, Pete, but you shot him pieces. He's like, I don't, maybe.
So
I'm
at
like,
one point, we're in this big studio, and Pete decides that we should all have airsoft guns. And he brings everybody airsoft. You know airsoft guns, right? The little plastic babies. So everybody had an airsoft gun at their desk, and we're drawing comics, and we're in the open room like this. And every once in a while, you'd be sitting there drawing, and you'd hear like the rattle of a BB in a gun. And everybody would jump behind their desk and shoot.
No, you literally hear the whiz by your face, and then the piece of art or poster that was right next to you would get a bullet hole in it. I know I know.
My Evil Dead poster.
You don't even know how many. I have original Tom and Jerry animation pencil still that were just shot up on the wall.
I feel like there's like Alex Todd.
Oh, I did have some Alex Toad stuff. But the weird thing was we would flip the tables. We would flip tables. Just shoot over.
We were in the big coloring building.
Oh,
with these giant windows. So I took one of the screens and I had it rigged on the front of my desk so I could just duck down behind it and shoot over.
But he smiled one time.
Didn't you get shot in the
So it bled.
So the final part of the story is we had moved to Northampton and we were in a more like separate room studio setup, and we still were doing this stupid airsoft gun shooting, and they were little blue BBs. So you'd walk through Northampton and you'd be like blocks away, and you'd see the little blue BB stuck in somebody's sneaker. And
so I have to say, my boys got into those after we did. I fucking hated that. And I still find them in our house. Like, how did this get behind the register behind here? There's no way. But
they're still there.
I think of the floors. I think of the floors at the studio, and there was an old factory building, so they replaced the floors, but they kind of sanded them and then shellacked them and left big giant gaps and stuff. Because I remember Tundra was downstairs, Quentin, and we had a hole downstairs into Tundra. And we would just drop shit down into Tundra. Okay, so we don't know where it ended up. There were 2 or 3 holes in our studio, and we could look down and could see light. So we just dropped stuff down into Tundra. It was right below us, so
this just shows that like we were like at one point
professional idiots.
Yeah, but we were also like it was cool. We were doing Turtle comics in the midst of all this, I don't know, artistic chaos. It was a cool time.
It's pleasurable.
Yeah,
artistic chaos if you want to say it. Artistic
we
chaos
spent
is
every
great.
day together.
Necessary chaos.
I mean, again,
we were a real legitimate kind of major publisher of something iconic, and yet we were kind of the goofiest.
Yeah. We were not smart. Professionally.
It's kind of amazing when you think about it, you know?
Yeah. Especially our leaders, our 2 leaders. I mean, Quentin, he knows one of our.
I love Quentin hearing all of this after I start. I'm learning a lot.
Oh, you're not learning anything. No. This is all the giveaway shit.
Observation. All these things that came from the Turtles taking off. One of the more interesting conversations I feel like I've been part of recently was when you and I had lunch with Mignola, the Hellboy creator, and just listening to Eric talking about the development of, when the Turtles really took off and what that did. And Eric and Mike talking about, that point where something really takes off and the decisions you have to make as a creator as to how involved you are with all the different products. Are you monitoring?
Yeah, I think I was curious to hear from him, like what his, after watching Pete and Kevin, who at some point they did separate, and it was just Pete over here and Kevin over here, and watching them go through what they were going through. And I was curious what Mike did with Hellboy and how much control he kept and how much it affected his life. Because without a doubt, the Turtles affected. It was great for Kevin and Pete, but it affected their lives. You can't have control of a property that scale.
No, I mean, like I said earlier, literally they lost their ability to draw.
And what I
To do
recall
the
from
thing
Mike
they
is
love
that
the
he
most.
quickly put that to someone else, like he quickly.
Yeah, he did it. Yeah, he did it well.
Yeah.
Apparently.
You delegated all that stuff.
Yeah, it sounded like that's what.
I think it. Yeah, I think it's.
It also blew up so fast. It just seemed.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
totally
like,
just
kind of
did
just
that
held
too,
on,
right? They delegated it. No.
Well, I think the thing I got from Mike is that Mike was an artist that didn't own the publishing company and he didn't own the vehicle that put Hellboy in the
Right, so
world.
Kevin and Pete
So
owned
he was
everything.
able to like trust Dark Horse to
To
take care of that and focus
kind of
on.
foster the property for him.
So
Yeah, he
for
focused on the
artist.
creative aspect.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a little easier than Kevin and Pete, so everybody had to kind of.
So who looked
Give it to
for
us.
the creative team, like the writer or the artist? Was it Mike or the Dark Horse?
Tim's asking you a question.
Yeah.
Wait.
I guess the difference there with like Hellboy and the Turtles, I mean, it's obviously a difference in the Turtles, I think on a different level. But yeah, I think it was a situation where Mike was able to continue doing creatively what Kevin and Pete probably wanted to do, but they had to be so hands-on.
Yeah, I mean, they owned everything, so it wasn't even close. I mean, yeah, I mean, they published, they owned, they did everything, so I mean.
It was a shaving kit, man. It was a
shaving
kit.
Or tackle box, that's the other weird one.
I remember the tackle box.
So there you go. You know, you can imagine me going like, what do I put on this? What, a catching leatherhead? In a boat in the sewer? Why are they in a boat in the sewer? I don't know, but it's fishing. It's fishing.
So
You know,
one of the funny things we had was we had like the
Oh,
front office in this building, and then we had the artist side, and in between was
And the
this-
white man out back.
Oh man! And in between, we had this like no man's land a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
And we had
yeah.
the big counter that had samples like.
Oh, that was the licensing area.
Yeah,
That's the licensing area.
but they had samples from all over the world. So this counter would accumulate.
Everything. I mean,
sketchbooks, underwear,
toys,
toys, but
and
it was always like
different
Tortugas.
incarnations, Tortugas, everything. You know, so there was a little bit of everything there. Yeah. The licensing era was crazy shit. It was always kind of crazy stuff.
I didn't buy socks for my kids or underwear or pajamas.
Well, we did
most of their young lives.
We did the pajama thing, but they were all, I think, too little. Our kids are too little for the pajamas.
Oh,
I'm like,
my God.
that's really sucks. You know, they were too young.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, again, the whole Mirage thing, the evolution of it was like a group studio where we were all like creatives working there together, and there was none of the other aspect was involved in that. To moving into this one building where it was the licensing was going on, the art was going on. I mean, there was a lot actually going on in that building, and it was like an evolution. It was, you know, personally, I think it was better at the beginning when we were all just drawing together, but. You know, it's a
I mean, of course it was. I mean, it was easier then. You know, just
we were just friends drawing comics, and
Yeah.
at some point, half the friends went on to do other stuff.
We all, I mean, I miss you so much.
All right. Well, we've got a couple minutes left, so I definitely want to open it up for anybody who has questions in the audience. So go right ahead, raise your hand, and I'll call on you, and we'll kind of go from there. Yes,
You in the back.
Him and Eric, secret brothers or what?
Say what?
Secret brothers?
Secret twin brothers?
Me and Jim?
You know, it's
Close, dude.
It's funny, Eric and I.
Put the glasses on. Because you're the same dude.
I don't think we're
I think
related.
it's a
but
beard. It's just.
I'm just joking.
I remember when I first met Eric.
Vince. No, I'm kidding.
This was early in the studio, and you know, I was like kind of like country guy, and you showed up, and you were like Misfits dude with the hair,
Everybody but Denise.
the black fingernails and stuff like that. You were,
Alright.
you were kind of intimidating and stuff like that. But we were pretty.
We hit it off.
Yeah, we were pretty close.
I thought
And
Jim
then-
was like a big pot smoker, and he didn't even smoke pot.
That's because he lived with me.
So chill. I was like,
It's because he lived with me, and you assumed that he did.
I walked into Mirage the first time. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to like say I was stoned, but I was very stoned. And,
I'm not gonna say you probably were.
I met Jim. I met everybody at the same time, and Steve Bissett was there, one of my heroes, and it was like It's like, where am I? What have I walked into?
Yeah.
And Pete's there with a camera filming me walking in the door. Like Steve had brought me down. And this is how cool these guys were, is they were working on a Godzilla portfolio that Steve Bissett was putting together. And immediately, I hadn't done comics, I hadn't done anything. And immediately Steve was like, pick a Godzilla character, draw it.
Yeah.
And it was
crazy.
my first thing I ever professionally did.
Yeah, I remember too, because it had to be put together, because we all did our individual piece of art. And then there was a common piece that tied everything together, you know, that Pete, and I think Dooney did a lot of the.
Dooney did, I think, Robocom.
I got some guy that had like, I feel like ham on his back. I don't forget what character. Hamster. I don't remember.
But that's what I walked into.
Maybe what?
All these years later, I think.
Hamzilla.
But it's so funny because we were just these guys who were brought together.
Just completely different people too. That hit me at one point. When you look at like where like all the different people that worked at Mirage, how completely different we all were, and how many years we spent together.
What brought us together? I really don't know.
People. Other people. I feel like Janine brought you and I knew him.
Yeah, Steve brought.
But really, it wasn't like a normal like business where, oh, this guy is the best artist and most qualified or something, or this guy has experience publishing. It was just.
No, I literally think that we were like, we weren't the best guys for every job, but
we were the guys.
What came out together was incredible.
Yeah.
You know, like it wasn't like, oh, he's the best at this, but somehow everything fit nicely together.
And back then, one of the things that I think was cool about Mirage is that, and I don't think this was an industry standard by any means, was that we as a group would jam on pieces. We would just be like, and it was no.
No, that comes from Eastman Laird. You know, I mean, like I was like Eastman Laird.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks like, oh, Eastman Laird. Well, are they one person? No, they are one person because on the page they were literally one person.
But like the Tales frontispiece, if you look at the
there was
Tales
nothing like that. There was never anything like that. There was nothing shared like Eastman Laird.
Yeah.
You know, like them, the way that because I lettered the early books and I was like literally watching them pick what they wanted to ink and what they wanted to do, and then occasionally like no one wanted to do it, and I had to do it.
People were like, oh, well, I want to do this job, I want to do that job. It was more like we'd be at lunch and it'd be like,
can you do
Ryan's penciling the Leatherhead intro, and hey, do you want to ink it? Do you want to paint it?
Yeah.
Or you and
We
Kevin
still do
it.
it.
Edgar Allan Poe piece,
I did
things
it
like that.
with Ryan last week. You know, it's nice to pull
You
Ryan.
guys know
in.
who Ryan is, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so you know,
That was my joke.
our boy Ryan Brown. So yeah, I mean, it's nice. I mean, we had like everybody did a little bit of everything, and we never said
Yeah, it was
no.
kind of the stew.
We didn't know how to say the fucking word no. We're really good at going, can you do that? Yes.
But we're also like in the same room, so a piece of art can be finished by Jim and can just be put on my desk or put on Steve's,
same
put
thing,
on somebody else's desk.
Yeah.
And there wasn't like this. I don't know. There wasn't like any ego involved.
So I had an ego.
Oh, yeah.
We
We don't talk about Steve's ego.
I was huge, gigantic ego. I was like, I need to do this.
I don't know.
No, I think that's the beauty of the studio is that we were just that.
Any other questions? We're like,
yeah. So considering what Steve just said, you guys are still getting to put out like new turtle stuff. If you had to look back over the whole history of what you guys have done, can you individually narrow down like the one thing you feel was the biggest contributor to turtles? Is that even possible?
Nope. No, I have no clue. I mean, somebody else will tell us what they think is better, but I mean, to us, is
like influence, you mean?
No, just what we've done, like a piece you've done, things like that icon. I mean, there's stuff that I've done that people tell me, you know, like, I forget I did it. But people say, oh, you did that, and like, oh shit, yeah, I did. You know,
City of War stuff, maybe?
Well, I mean, that's great with the comic. With the comics, it's amazing, yeah.
Or Return to New
Yeah,
York.
with me, it would definitely be Return to New York was like, you know, it was Kevin and Pete's kind of it was the next step for them. They were coming back to the comic and them giving me the middle issue. Because whether I knew it or not at the time, you know, look back at it and be like, it's pretty cool that they trusted me with that. And hopefully I did a good job. It's like when I look back at it, I think it's one of my peak pieces. I don't know.
Return to New York?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're on. You and Jim and then Kevin Slater, so it's beautiful.
But then I don't know, like I don't know. We weren't thinking about that stuff back
No, I think that's just
looking back.
Yeah, I think that's just it for us. It was all next. You know, what? Give me the next thing. You know, and again, you always want it to be your best thing, but it's not necessarily your best thing. But you know, you just keep moving forward.
I don't know, yeah, there was like, I don't want to say an unseriousness about what we were working on, but we were just.
I'm gonna go with that.
we would walk. I remember we would like walk over to Pete's desk and like pitch little story ideas to him, or like
when he was there, not just bringing us out. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
it was weird. It's like for me, it was like I had Kevin on my side, and Pete kind of hated me at first. I think.
I don't think he hated you.
Around,
I don't think he hated you. He didn't understand what you were doing with Kevin. You know, because you were always, you know, doing Melting Pot and doing other stuff too. You know, so I think he kind of.
It's funny hearing how haphazard it sounds from you guys, just because
no.
coming over to Mirage.
No, it was really complete, and we were really together.
No, I mean just visiting.
I think it was.
Well, that's what. It's just funny visiting you guys. I felt like I was coming to like Lucasfilm Studios or something. It all seemed so like watching Dooney.
Not at all.
Going to Dooney's studio and seeing him working on something.
Well, if you're going to Dooney, if you're going to Mike's office, then fuck yeah, it was.
It all seemed like this amazing machine. You know, just hearing you guys talk about it, it sounds.
It's kind of weird when you think about the fact that like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but like I kind of think coming at it these days, you'd be maybe thoughtful of like what you were doing and what the longevity of what you're doing and whether or not you're doing something that is good for your future. Exactly. I think it just accidentally became one of the biggest freaking toy lines out there. But we were just kind of in the middle of it, kind of swimming in that crazy.
Again, I think, you know, because it was a publishing company first and foremost, so that was usually the first step. You know, with a lot of the stuff, even when the toys kicked in, it was still the book had to get out. You know, and that's
did it really?
I know, which is crazy. I mean, there's a cartoon running on TV, but the book has to get out. You know, and it just seemed like, you know, that was still, even when the chaos was, you know, we were in the middle of it. The book still was getting done. The both Tales and the regular book were being done on a regular basis. As much as humanly possible, and then every other thing, you know, rather it was the Archie book and every other thing came after that.
Well, that's the other thing about it is like as a group of people that were, you know, completely unfit. We were unfit. Yeah, we were completely unfit.
And stupid as shit.
We were like completely.
Wait, that's a T-shirt. Unfit and stupid as shit. That's what
in the Turtles font too.
Exactly.
Yeah. None of us had really done comics. We were not like comic guys that were filling the role of a comic artist. We were like a bunch of goofy guys that had no reason to be together, but for some reason stuck together. Didn't splinter.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But the other part of it is
excuse me, ma'am. People, can you get her out of here? Thank you. She's very.
She was there. She knows this stuff. Kathy Lawson, everybody.
But has anybody seen my wife? Oh.
I just want to say how lucky you guys are.
Yeah.
You were so lucky to be in the right place
Skill,
at the right
man.
time.
No, with this group.
And the skills, and you know, like Jim, living in Falls Village, Connecticut. I mean, Kevin and Pete were living in Sharon, Connecticut. I mean, what are the odds?
Yeah,
you know?
what are the odds?
And then you and Steve, and it was like.
And Matt.
And Matt. I know. Let's all just say, and Matt.
You guys are so lucky to have such an amazing career over 40 years, and you should be proud of yourself.
And that's from the other side of the table. She knows.
But yeah, I don't know, man.
Proud of yourselves.
Thank you.
We did it. We kept going. It's here now. We did it.
Oh, no.
We were just gonna. So yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. Give a round of applause. Jack again. So stay tuned for that. All right, thank you guys. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you were really good.
So what I was curious about and was going to ask is one of the interesting things about Mirage's business model is that if you wanted to do something with the Ninja Turtles and you went through Mirage, the assets, the art would be pre-approved. If you're like a licensee with someone trying to use the Ninja Turtles on a shirt or something like that, if you used Mirage's art, it would again be pre-approved. So my question is, was there ever any artwork that any of you did that was not approved in the pre-approval process? And if so, what was it? Wouldn't that be fun to know?
Yes.
Oh, I got a million of them. But that one's been bugging me for a while. Like, did anything you guys ever did get rejected, and what was it, and where is it, and can I have it? Just kidding. On the last part.
I know, and I'm not calling you all like.
Here's my spiel. We're just hanging out watching the Turtles Creators panel. I put on my Jetpack Comics here in Rochester, New Hampshire for Free Comic Book Day, which is tomorrow. We're also running a show tomorrow where you can shop with all these turtle creators. We'll all have booths. We'll be signing. And I'm going to try to connect you guys as best I can with that experience. Today we're just running some mask pins. They're metal, they're cool. They could be Mirage Turtles or just Raph, whatever you want it to be.
Thank you very much.
Oh, this is great. I can actually do this now. 1 second, we're gonna get a little shaky cam. I got battery packs on battery packs, guys. We're never... Ooh. Come on, baby. We can all thank Miss Looking for the battery packs. Uh-oh. I don't know if this one's gonna work.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
That's Kyle.
Oh, Kyle.
What are you gonna spill, dude?
Oh man,
We make
so cool.
we make so Tim wants he's a great put it down. It was tasty.
Interesting.
So Tim like right here. Yeah, his arm around. He never touched. He never hit me.
We should be good.
Eventually he looked down. He was like, he was like, oh shit.
That was really close.
Yeah,
Very awesome.
you could see the surprise. He's like,
All right, mods, run the show. I'm gonna go pee.
he like was his hand out and like picked it up.
Oh, don't worry, guys. We can ask everyone that question individually at their tables tomorrow, and or if I can run earlier and kind of start hanging out with people before the doors open, that would be cool too. Anything's possible. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Check out lookingfortmnt.com, spelled just like my username here on Whatnot, for all our community channels and more fun shows like this. Be right back. So, if anyone touches my camera, let me know.
Some of your comments.
Dude, I way too long to ask the question.
Were you getting comments or were just like, what the fuck this guy thinks?
What, you?
Yeah.
No. No. I even introduced you. That's John Watt, ex-employee of Jetpack Comics, as the moderator. Because they asked me the first moderator, and I was like, a friend of Jetpack's. I said, he doesn't work for
He does.
Oh, shit.
You can just do it again.
There's so many of them now.
I know. Yeah, it's great. Every time I've gone in, and it's so funny because some of them like don't know. So like Rich will just tell me something, like, talk to me about job stuff, and then they're all just like, Rich, yeah, it's a job. Don't worry about it.
John was the manager of this store for like a year or more.
He's like, John did everything. He's fine.
Yeah, like literally everything. Yeah, Rich's job for a while.
Yeah.
Don't catch me dead doing that shit. Oh, I'm on street.
It was so funny. I was just doing that.
Dude,
yeah, man. We definitely went over those.
I always remember how nice that guy is, and I forget how fucking hilarious he is.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
every fucking time, man.
Yeah, good time.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna ask you too, just put my head together, and I'm just gonna go. So, if you wanted to do something with Mirage, you did Mirage assets, I mean, art, that was part of the business.
Oh, that's
right. It's advantageous to go with Mirage.
Yeah, yeah.
They got money. I wanted to ask you if there was any art they did that was not or to not process. What was it? Where was it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna ask them a lot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I'm just gonna kind of like.
Does that thing start me?
Nah.
Oh,
I gotta go set up and yada.
Oh, that's right, because you're gonna have a booth in there.
I'm not gonna. I don't know exactly what the plan is, because like I'm gonna be at like the starting table with like all the swag.
Yep.
And I'm gonna like sort all that out, and then I'm gonna go around and shop everyone's table. Like these guys are gonna buy stuff, and I'm gonna pay for it.
Whatnot basically what they tried to make Jimmer.
Jimmer. Okay.
I remember Jimmer. I think of it sometimes where it's kind of like,
I forgot about Jimmer. My ex-girlfriend worked there.
I remember it being like pitched as like eBay beats Facebook, and then also Whatnot became this thing, and I was just like, huh.
It's very different. So Jemmer was like for collectors to showcase their collection. Yeah. There was that's the part of like what I didn't understand about. I was like, where does your fucking revenue come from?
Exactly.
Nowhere. It came from investor rounds.
Yeah, just that time I just like, yep, gotta do a round.
Yeah, it was some guy who owned an antique like watch thing before that, and he was trying to diversify, and somehow he got it in his head that like this was a good idea, and like. I remember the day they laid them all off. They called them all in, dude, and it was one of those. They're like, "We're done," kind of thing. And all of a sudden, Emily came home and was like, "Yeah, I don't have. I went from like a $30 an hour job to nothing."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Cool." And just she went to work at a dog food store, 725 or whatever it was.
Rough.
Yeah.
Rough. People hanging.
How we doing?
How's this going?
Good. Everyone's enjoying it. There's been a lot of plans. I've sold 4 mask things so far. I just keep running them over and over and over. I'm like, it could be a Mirage turtle spin or a Raphael thing, whatever. Oh, the new joke is we all say Raphael. Yeah. I ran a giveaway last night, and I called it this morning in the car, and it was like the free Raphael book. Which is the micro series. Oh yeah, exclusive. Yeah. It was when there was a little beat. I was like, I'm gonna use it. But yeah, everyone's having a blast. Dude, those guys are so funny.
Were they?
Yeah, I kind of just like let them go. We went a little over. Like I was like, I should have a good time.
Right.
Right? Oh, oh well, yeah, that's right. Because everything started a little bit. Yeah. That's awesome. And that was Tom, Ben, and Louise. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And then I'm going to see it. Where are you going? Scenic Lounge. What's that? Just chilling? Alcohol. Where I'm gonna go home and sleep. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Like, I'm gonna leave anywhere around 7, so I'll be there like right before 8.
Okay. My intention is to get there for 8, so.
Do you need anything else today? Do you like my camera stand? I took it from my car. I hold my phone while I drive.
Oh wow, you definitely have that
kind of. You tighten this bad girl, and it squeezes. So I squeeze it to the back of the chair.
I mean, that's ingenious. That's engineering right there.
That's I was looking at. I was like, do I want to hold this the whole time and shaky cam? And I was like, nah, they're not gonna like that. Oh, and I'm so glad I found it was game. Oh shoot!
It's literally just like.
Hold on, guys. I'm good at this.
It's like I feel like last time.
Keep that trigger finger ready. Guys, I told Ralph we sold mask cans and he was shocked.
And it's also contrast.
Like, we're popping off mask pins. I gotta get those out tomorrow morning. It's gonna be a busy day. Yeah, so those mask pins will be out tomorrow, guys. Just don't ask me when. I don't know if, that's what I wanted. I wanted to ask Ralph something. What time the post office opens? Shit. I might have to pack them at the Turtle Den and have someone drop them off there. I'll get them to you. I always do.
Is there panels that you kind of start by or anything like that, or are you good at just
I'm good at saying professional. I fanboy a little bit.
Bradham, so as I understand it, those pins were supposed to be like a special bonus with TMNT 1, and I think they only made the red ones. So you could get 4 and pretend they're Mirage, or maybe they are Mirage, or if you're a Raphael fan, then you can just get the 1. Feel comfortable knowing you have them all. You guys want me to paint them for? I mean, I'll paint a couple for you. Put a little magic marker on them bad girls. Hey, Ralph's everyone's favorite. We stan Raphael on this stream. Oh, Blue Jack, gotta be the Jenica guy, huh? Respect. Amy actually bought me the Jenica Noir figure, the best action one, because I did not have enough female representation in my Turtles collection. I'm diverse. Now his favorite. You guys want to know a fun fact? Blue Jack, actually very early on in my Whatnot career, before I started selling, sold me my graded Raphael second print 9.4. You guys have probably seen it up on my wall a few times, but yeah, I treasure that bad girl. And I told him I would that day. I was like, dude, this is gonna go on my wall, and I'm gonna treasure it forever. And he was like, okay. He didn't want to sell it. He still regrets it, and I still feel bad, but I love it. So someday, Blue Jack, I'm gonna get another one, and I'm gonna send you that one back, but not today. So I just found out a fun fact that my power banks don't appear to be charging. I think we've got more than enough battery to finish the show. We're only going to go for about another 45 minutes after the intermission here. But then your boy's going to go to the nearest place that sells power banks. I don't know why. Like, it's got the blue lights, it's plugged in. It's plugged into the phone. I don't know. There's more than a quarter battery that I'm pretty sure we'll be all right. Not like this morning's secret show. We don't talk about that. Where I randomly sold like $400 worth of shit out of my car. That was fun. I was like, we'll see what happens. And I was like, wow, people buying stuff out of my car. Yeah, dude, guys, and much respect to JC, the season's first Ninja Turtle. He reached the Ninja Turtle rank in the rewards club. It's lonely at the top. Ask him.
Should grab like a bowl or something.
It's like I don't want to rush anybody. It's also like
We only got this place for big.
Oh yeah, I do like that. Yeah, that was Justin like but the first time I heard this solo like There we go.
Oh, your boy looking's tired. I went out to the Turtles Monument at 5 o'clock this morning because I couldn't sleep. So I'm a little sleepy now. I got an hour drive back to where I'm staying with my mom. And I'm gonna pass the fuck out and get up early for you guys tomorrow. And do it all again, but bigger. With more things than mask pins. This is probably the funniest show ever. whatnot's ever had. Maine. So, Maine itself is like Rochester pretty much borders it. So you can like from the north side of Rochester, you can throw a rock and hit Maine. So very, very close. Depending on, but Maine's kind of a big state. So it depends on where in Maine you're talking about. Sorry, I'm just seeing some of these. When did you ask that? Because I can't even see it in the chat, but I see it in my notifications. Let's see what else is here. How far? Yes, super
All
close.
right. So, for the final installment of tonight's epic trilogy of Turtles panels, let us journey to the newest fan favorite Ninja Turtles universe, the world of The Last Ronin. All right, returning to the stage is legendary Turtles writer Tom Waltz, who joined forces with Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird to weave together the immaculate scripts for the Ronin saga. Also joining us is fan favorite artist Ben Bishop, who, in collaboration with Kevin Eastman and the Esforza brothers, has brought the Roninverse to life with some powerful art, even designing the next generation of Turtles for Re-Evolution. And last but definitely not least is the one and only Luis Antonio Delgado, whose distinctly dynamic colors have given identity to this world through 3 projects now. So let's hear it for Luis. All right, now we've already talked to Tom about this during the IDW panel, but for Ben and Louise, what was it about Ninja Turtles that like drew you guys in and made you fans, initially exciting you, and how have you drawn upon that as creators?
Are you asking from the beginning, like when I was a kid?
Yeah.
I think it was the skateboard. Mikey's skateboard, he was so cool. And I was like, probably like 3-4 years old when I started watching. Like, that dude is cool. I want to be cool too. So I just love the Turtles. Then I understand that they were doing like weapons. So I did. I gotta understand how the nunchucks work, and I never did. But they were awesome. And then the swords and everything, and it was the action, and they were funny, and they were eating pizza, and I love pizza, and it was adventures, and I was like, this is what I like. And I was like 5-6 years old, and this is me. And then when I started drawing, I was like, I like drawing stuff, and I like drawing weapons, and I like action. And then when I became professional colorist, it's like, I gotta do digital. This is something that's real, and now I can go back to when I was a kid, and I gotta be part of it. And I wasn't for a while, and I was so jealous. But then when it happened, it's like, thank God, now I'm here. So that's the story.
What about you, Ben?
For me, I've always had the toys, like a lot of us in here probably, and then the movies were awesome, and the cartoons were awesome, and then the toys, the characters were just endless, thanks to the Mirage guys, Jim and Steve, and all their ideas, and so I was like, I just want to create my own characters and my own comics, and so it was really inspirational for me, like as a kid, like I loved all the same stuff that every kid loves about it, but then I was like, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and I did that like for my whole life until I was like, I can do covers, I can do insides, I can do it, and then finally they were like, fine, just do it, and so now I get to do it, and I'm like complaining all the time.
It's work. All right, so The Last Ronin was truly a juggernaut of an event for TMNT fans. Resurrecting a storyline Kevin and Peter started brainstorming all the way back in '87. Going around the table here, how did each of you become part of this project?
The way I became a part of it was, Kevin had worked alongside Bobby Kernow and I for the first 100 issues of the Turtles IDW ongoing series. And we were coming up on issue 100, and 100 was going to be the place where I stepped off. And, IDW had shown some interest in what we were going to do next. And so I happened to be at Kevin's house one day, and we were working on some stuff for, I think we were like on issue 97 or so in the series, working out some ideas. And he said, well, what do you want to do next? What's your plan? I said, I don't know. They said the door's open for more Turtle stuff, but I hadn't really thought about anything specific because I was trying to, I was worried about landing 100. And he said, oh, I got this old outline Peter and I put together. You want to check it out? Because it's kind of like a Last Turtle story And one thing about Kevin is like this master archivist. So my office looks like a trash heap. Kevin is immaculate. He has everything saved and all this stuff from over the years working on the Turtles. We pulled out this outline, and I read it, and it was like the bare bones outline for what would eventually become the Last Ronin. And I said, "This is amazing. I'd love to work on something like this." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Maybe that's what we should do is take that, maybe see if Peter wants to get involved, but if not, he goes, I'm sure he'll be happy for us to see it through." But I was laughing when I was reading it, and I think we've in some of our director's cuts, I think we've shown some of that outline, and it's been public. But there was like little drawings of some of the future tech. And I told him, I go, "Is Peter Nostradamus? Because the tech already exists. Like, he predicted all this stuff." So I said, if we do it, we have to actually futurize it even more, because this stuff is true. Like, matter of fact, the flip phone, he described it to a T, what a flip phone became. And I said, so we're going to have to like put it to the future. And it was kind of that old Blade Runner joke. Was it, Blade Runner takes place in 2019, and we're well past 2019, and Blade Runner didn't have it.
No flying cars.
And so that was the first discussion we had. And so Kevin, reached out to Peter and said, Tom and I are thinking about, taking this and adapting it, to a modern storyline. And Peter was like, "You know what? Go for it." He goes, "Maybe I'll help out with some art or some covers." He goes, "But I don't really need to be any more involved in the story. Just make sure you guys keep me posted of what you did." So we wrote the story. Peter, blessed it, and then we went from there. But it was really just a matter of Kevin being that archivist and having something that we could look at and again just work together on it to create something new.
Cool. What about you, Ben?
For me, Kevin and I had been working together on a book called Drawing Blood, which I got. You like Drawing Blood? I got all of it with me tomorrow. So, but so we came together on that.
You can find it on table.
Yeah. We came together on that book because of my own books, and so it was very special. I was like, I did my own thing. He saw it, wants me to do this book, and then we're like deep into it, like issue 5 or 6, like we're partway through volume 2, which still hasn't been delivered to the backers. And he's like telling me about Last Ronin. I'm going to be doing this crazy story. It's the last story Peter and I ever meant to do together. I'm like, oh, nice. I wish I could, be a part of that. I was like, let me know if you need any help. And Andy Kuhn was going to be the artist at the time, and he had started doing some pages. And what ended up happening was Andy Kuhn started falling behind. Kevin was like, oh, I actually do need some help. And he's like, how do you feel about, doing the deaths of the Turtles? And I was like, hell yeah. And so that's when we had made the decision to have a different artist do the flashbacks. And then that would free up more time for Andy to keep going with, the future Ronin stuff. And then COVID, this, that, and the other thing, Andy fell behind again. And so then that portion of the work got diverted to the Explorers, and it became like a whole different kind of book than it ever would have been due to circumstance. And even my involvement was like as simple as me going, let me know if you need any help. And then he was like, actually, I could use it. I was like, oh, hell yeah. So always shoot your shot. What about you?
What about me?
You're next.
Yeah. So like they say, 2020, and the world's going to shit. And then I was working in Ghostbusters for like 10 years with Tom was my editor, and then just stopped. They decided to cancel the book, and I was like, oh my God, my life is over. What I'm supposed to do now, and then it's COVID, and like, oh my God, my life's twice over. But then I got an email from Tom, like, we have this project, and we need a new colorist. And he contacted me and Dan Shannon. He was doing Ghostbusters with me. Like, do you want to do a tryout? And I remember Dan Shannon write back to Tom, like, what do you want me to do? And Tom was so busy that he didn't write back. And instead of waiting, I just took my shot. And he sent me some black and white pages and some of the first pages. And I was like, can you do the same style? So I did, and just copied, sent it back in like 24 hours. And like, this is a long shot, but let's see what happens.
So it's terrible.
Oh yeah, it does. But then I got back an email like, we like it, but we have to wait from Paramount. Like so waiting even longer. And I was just, maybe this is good, maybe this is bad, or let's see what happens. And then he said like, we love it, Paramount loves it, you're in. Like, awesome. I got like 2 months job worth of money. I didn't care, I didn't know about how huge it was gonna become. If I had known how huge it was gonna become, I would be so afraid, so stressed, so like worried about like this has to be perfect. I just thought this is another job. I need to pay for rent and stuff. No, this is it completely changed my life, and I'm so thankful for Tom, like the third time in my life. So that's how I came to work with them, and then I had to work with Ben, and that sucks, but still it has to happen. That's it.
I want to say about Luis though.
It does suck working with Ben.
It's important to say this to anybody about like there's people that are very talented in this industry and
not me.
Can't meet a deadline to save their lives or you're always waiting on them. You can't count on them. Luis is the full package because he's very talented, but there's another factor that plays into this, and Ben kind of mentioned it. Ronin was a series of accidents that became something bigger than any of us expected, by far beyond anything we expected. Kevin thought when we were talking about it that first time with the outline, he said, "Oh yeah, we could probably make it like an evergreen book. The hardcore fans will probably dig this, and you know it'll sell perennially." But we never thought it'd be what it became. And you know, then Andy was drawing it, and then Andy had some things that happened during COVID that kind of stopped that process. And to IDW's credit, when he stopped, it was an emergency. We needed artists to come in. And the plan was kind of like a thing you see in comics all the time where like, oh, we'll just replace that artist with new artists and they'll just finish the rest of the book, which would have looked weird to me. I was totally against that. I was like, I never liked when art looks completely different. And Andy has a very distinct style. And it would have been hard to match that style. And I loved Andy had drawn like 20 pages and I loved the pages he did. It just wasn't meant to be for him on this project. But IDW, and this was Ted Adams was in charge, Chris Ryall at the time, they made the command decision to, if we can get in some artists and they're fast enough, we'll pay somebody to do the whole book again, even though those pages were already done and they were already paid for. And it was Kevin who remembered the Scorser brothers from Heavy Metal Project. And when the brothers came in, and if anybody's ever seen the brothers, they draw simultaneously, not like two guys drawing on two separate pages. Sometimes they're drawing together on the same page. It's bizarre. It's the most bizarre thing you've ever seen. That they're the savants in that way, and their styles are so similar. It was almost like they could draw twice as fast. But them coming in, it ended up being like, but this is how it was supposed to look all along. But it would have never gotten there without Andy's pages, which would have never been there without Kevin's layouts. And then because we were running behind, and we had I think Brittany, because I can't remember her last name, had done the colors because Andy stopped. She had to take other work, so she couldn't color it anymore. And my first thought was, I got a guy who's not only talented, who will knock this thing out on time. I guarantee you he will get this thing done, and we needed somebody, and that was the first person I thought was Luis. So I was the biggest cheerleader for Luis. I knew he could do the work. It would look beautiful, but I had to reiterate to them, we need somebody who can do it like yesterday. And Luis came in, and actually, since everybody knows, Ronin's never run on time. It never has. And that's usually, it's our fault, Kevin and my fault. And
no, it's the original Andy dates that we tried to meet all
the
time.
Yeah, it was
we
just
started the book over, and then it was like, we're not changing the dates. Okay.
Yeah, it never. Yeah, it was like an impossible task that they made possible. But from beginning to up to now, Luis has been the linchpin as far as making sure if anybody else is running behind, he always makes it the time for those people. And that's, to me, that's like a credit to him, and something that I always tell people is like, if you can be reliable, you will get work in this business. I guarantee it. You don't have to be the best at what you do. You need to be talented at what you do, good at what you do, and reliable. And reliable trumps all that stuff all the time because there's so many people that aren't.
So if you like Last Ronin, you owe me a beer. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen for me.
All right. So as far as the writing for the first Ronin series went, and for the sequels, you co-wrote the scripts with Kevin, which was based on a story he brainstormed with Peter. But what was the collaborative process like between the two of you?
Well, first we had the outline. So the outline was pretty high level, and even if you look at that original outline, the turtle was never named. The way that came about was Kevin came to me and goes, "Who do you think should be the last Ronin?" And I said, well, Leonardo seems too obvious to me. I said Raph seems too obvious that he's already angry. So he's just angrier. And then I thought Leo, he seems like the next most obvious, but it would be all about honor for him. It would be more about honor kind of thing. And I couldn't see the anger in it. And I said, and if it's Donnie and that's the future, we're really going to have to rely on tech, because you would think he would lean into a technological direction, and that would take away from some of the grittiness. So I said, it would have to be Michelangelo, and Kevin goes, good, because that's who it is. Yeah, you wanted to see what I said. And his thing was that, for the obvious reason of him being the most surprising, but he was also the first turtle that Kevin ever drew. And he goes, I want my first turtle to be my last turtle. So that was decided the first day. And then what had happened was, it was interesting. Again, Ronin was a series of accidents that worked out. We talked about the story, and remember, I'm coming off 100 issues of the ongoing series. So in my head, the turtles exist like my own real memories, like real people in my brain, because I've been writing them for 10, 11 years. So those were the voices that existed in my brain. And so the way we did the first series run was Kevin would do all the layouts. So this was like kind of a weird kind of Marvel style, but in a sense where he would do all these layouts, and that was the artwork that the layouts was the foundation for what the Scorches eventually did. And then once the art was drawn, then I would come in and, Kevin and I would have talks. And if you look at the director's cut, Kevin has like little comments in the borders and on some of the panels. It'll be like, excuse my French, it'll be like Raph saying, what the fuck? Or it's like, and so I knew, okay, he must be excited there. Something's going on in that panel. So it was my job then to go in to put words in their mouths, kind of sort that out. The first draft that I wrote, Kevin said, nope, this does not work, because the Michelangelo I was writing, a lot of ways, sounded like the Michelangelo from my ongoing story. And he said, I need this to be different. I need this to be something else, because the original plan was this was going to be officially a Mirage ending. But after our first meeting where we sat down and we started talking about story, as soon as we said, well, Cory is Shredder's daughter, I go, well, that's not Mirage canon, Kevin. And he goes, that's true. He goes, okay, it's its own thing now. It's its own thing now. So, and that I think that really opened up the storytelling for us, because then we weren't beholden to a lot of history, because we wanted it to be like Dark Knight Returns, where if you read Dark Knight Returns, which Kevin and I are huge Frank Miller fans, both of us, it could be any Batman. As long as you know the basic Batman story, his parents got killed, he's out there fighting crime, as a result, then you have enough. It could be Adam West, or it could be Christian Bale, or it could be Batman from one of your favorite comic book writers. It doesn't matter. You know the story. That's what we wanted. You know who the Turtles are. Most of the world does now. You know who Splinter is. So the entry was already there. We just had to make it make sense. And so what I felt terrible, because he right away said, this is not working. This is not how I want it to be. And he goes, it's perfectly fine story for your ongoing book. He goes, but this is not working. So we kind of stepped back, and he changed a few of the panels. So this is kind of how I wanted it to sound. And as soon as I saw what he was going for, I got it. I said, I hear the voice now, because you're showing me what I need to know. And rewrote the whole first script to be what it became. And a lot of it was really just like cutting out dialogue, cutting out humor. Because my go-to was like, Mikey's gonna make a joke. And he said, I don't want this to be funny. This should not be funny. And when it's funny, it should really jump out at you that it's funny. If Mikey makes a joke, it's kind of like, oh, there's the old Mikey coming through, because that Mikey's gone. And it would have been very obvious early on, if you're reading the book, because we don't tell you who he is to the last page, that it's Michelangelo. So it had to feel like, well, this could be Raph, or maybe it could be Leo. It could be, another turtle. And then we reveal it at the end. And even that was a debate. We weren't sure if we were going to tell anybody. We went back and forth, and we finally decided. I said, no, I feel like we need to tell people who it is by that last page, because I felt like it was just a shocker. And then Kevin said, I agree. So and we have a lot of people who don't agree with that. They didn't like that we did that, and that's one of those things where even we debated on it. But that was the process then. Since then. Sorry, this is a long answer. Since then, like with Lost Years and Re-Evolution, now that we've gotten the groove and I know the voices, and plus we're creating new characters that had nothing to do with that original outline, I have a little more creative leeway where Kevin and I will sit down, we'll talk about it. He's not doing layouts anymore. What we do is we talk, we kind of do bullet points of what we want, and then I go from there, and then I script. Then it goes to Kevin. We do back and forth, and then we have a final product, which, much to our editor's chagrin and Paramount's chagrin, Kevin and I will make changes until it's like going out the door to the printer. So we're hyper careful that we are telling the story we want to tell, even if we piss off some people sometimes and say, no, we need one more PDF, just one more. But it's kind of evolved the storytelling process, and I feel more comfortable with the characters now.
Awesome. Ben, you're one of multiple creatives who contributed art to the stories of the Roninverse, working with both of the Escorza brothers, and occasionally Kevin Eastman himself would come in and do a couple pages. So you visually represented the story as well as Lost Years and Re-Evolution with all these other artists, and you all have very different styles that manage to fit together in a seamless, organic way. So how was all that orchestrated?
Well, I think Luis is the glue to how everything fits together, with the colors for sure. But the one good thing about Turtles that's been since the beginning, as you know, with the Mirage crew and all that, is the different styles and different voices is such a big part of Turtles. So it's not a deterrent where it might be in a different comic to have one artist do half the book, another artist do this. We want to see those different styles, and so doing the flashbacks in my style and the Escorzas have their style, I think it works really well for the story. But as far as orchestration and tying it all together, that might be good for you to talk about your color methods.
Do you want me to talk about?
What the heck did you do to keep it all together? Make it look like one book.
I don't know. I think I always try to complement the artist, because Ben's style is different from the Escorza style, and the Escorza style is edgier. So actually my coloring, when I do that, I use you don't know this, but there's a soft brush and a hard brush. And when I do the Escorzas, I do rough, like a hard brush. So it looks the same as the line art. But Ben's smoother. And it was, even when it was supposed to be a flashback, they were looking softer, the edges and the totals and the design. So instead of doing the hard brush, I would do a selection and color it softly, so it was more carefully. But at the same time, I think I used the same colors, even if it was in the background, flashback. Then the present, I used the same kind of skin tones and the leather and the clothes. But his stuff was brighter because they believe in the future, and they believe that life is gonna be better, so it was brighter. But then the reality is a postmodern apocalyptic ground, so it became darker and filthier and dirty, and that was because of who was the Andy Kuhn's colorist? Brittany. She created that style, so I just copied her. So I can't, I'm not gonna say that I created that style. I just followed that style, and she did the hard work, and that's why it became different. But at the same time, it's fluent. And with Ben, he created a texture for the flashback that we still use every time we do in a flashback. I use that.
It's
like a grain, you're remembering things, so it's not as clear as the present. Even when the past is brighter and the present is dirtier, you have that grain. So immediately you know it's not the same timeline. Even if you're not reading it, if you're just picking up at the airport or wherever, and you're just going through the pages, you know it's different timeline. You know something is different happening. So that's what I try. I just try to make easier for the reader to know what's going on without even having to read.
And that's actually a good question, because that's another one of those amazing accidents that happened during this. Like Ben said, we were running behind, and we needed that last page on the first Ronin, which was a flashback where it looks like Mikey's looks like he's died, and he's seeing his brothers when they were younger in the lair, and that was just out of necessity. We needed that page done, and it wasn't going to get done in time without another artist coming in. But then when it was done, it was kind of like one of those aha moments for Kevin and I looked at it and I said, that's how we should do all the flashbacks. Let's just have Ben do all the flashbacks like that, because then it keeps the book consistent. Because I'm really a stickler for like books staying consistent. Because I don't know how many comics over the years I've not liked when they change artists or change styles. It drives me nuts. And I always think I'd rather wait for something to be right than have, people want books in the stores on time, but I think ultimately they want that book on their shelf to be something they want to keep going back to and not being unhappy with. But we decided, well, let's have Ben do that. And then there were other pages that we had that Kevin drew because we were running behind. He goes, I'll just draw these real quick, these pages. So there's actually a deliberateness to the books if you look at them on the storytelling side. So if Kevin's drawing a page, it's a flashback that's being narrated in first person by somebody. So April's saying, oh yeah, this is what happened to me when all the brothers died, and I did this thing. Or Mikey's telling the story of like, yeah, when I went to Japan, this is what I did. It's the first person memory, like somebody's like narrating the memory to you. When Ben does flashbacks, you actually go to the flashback. You're in that moment, and that's very deliberate, and we've stuck with that. Even though like we kind of switched up the roles in Lost Day, where Ben was doing the stuff in the present and the brothers were doing the flashbacks, it was still the same thing. So we're very adamant about that. If Kevin's going to draw it, it's a certain type of flashback that you're being presented with versus what Ben does. It's not just haphazard.
Okay, awesome. And speaking of the stuff you've done since Ronin, most recently for the sequel, Re-Evolution, the three of you worked with the same creative team to bring to life a new generation of Ninja Turtles who follow in the footsteps of the fearsome fighting dudes audiences have known and loved for decades. So, Tom, how did you and Kevin go about putting these characters' personalities together, and how did you make their profiles in a way that spoke to a new generation, but also stayed different from the turtles that have come before?
Well, the first thing was that was another accident. That was actually a Easter egg from Kevin, a little wink and nod thing. Those four turtles at the end, that was never part of the plan. At the end of Ronin, where Casey's working with the four turtles, Kevin said, let's just throw them there and blow everybody's minds. We never thought there'd be a sequel. We always kind of hoped, but we didn't expect to do any more Ronin. So he said, let's throw it out there and drive everybody crazy that there's possibly four more turtles. Then, of course, the book sold the way it did, and Paramount was like, come on, keep that Ronin coming. And so, in IDW too. And so, that's when we said, well, I guess we got to get serious about what these turtles are. One of the first, we had talked about this earlier in the earlier panel. One of the first things, I don't know if it was you, Ben, or Kevin was pushing it, but the first thing was about the species. And they said, let's make sure that they're actual species of turtles and four distinct different species. Not just kind of like a generic looking mutant turtle like the traditional turtles. And that's when I told the panel earlier I never realized there were so many turtles in this world. There's just hundreds of different kinds of turtles. And I thought, my first thought was I'll leave that to the artist. That would have given me a headache to try to figure out how to draw that. So that was something, and I'll let Ben speak to that. As far as the personalities, we both, Kevin and I, said we want 2 males and 2 females. I mean, that's just a more modern thing to me. And people can say woke or whatever. I go, no. Guess what? There's women in this world and there's men. If people don't see that, then apparently they're not paying attention. So, I have sisters and I have brothers, so that's how it works out. And my oldest sister is the meanest person I ever met, so go from there. And so, but as far as personalities, of course we wanted this feeling that it was familiar but new.
Yeah.
So there was this commonality, and if you look at it with the turtles, now you can see it kind of played out as the turtles' looks developed. That kind of spoke to how I would present them personality-wise. But I knew one was going to kind of be mechanical. One was going to be kind of angry. One was going to be kind of like Leonardo, kind of the best fighter. But I didn't want them to only be that. And one of the things I liked a lot about our ongoing run, and this kind of inspired it, was our Splinter in the ongoing run he had aspects of he had an anger problem that he had to learn how to control. You always think of him as the Zen master, but he had an anger problem. Well, guess who inherited that anger problem? Raph, right? But he was a very honorable warrior. Leo, did that, but he's kind of funny, and so I felt like those turtles became what they were because it comes from your parents a lot of time. And so we wanted, I kind of, in my mind, saw the 4 turtles as kind of like their parents in a way. These are the predecessors. So I wanted, for example, Yi. Yi is kind of our Donnie. He's very mechanical, and she's very inspired by April, who's mechanical,
Yeah.
who was inspired by Donnie. So that skill gets passed down. But I thought, well, what's modern sensibility? And some kids have, social anxiety, autism, things like that. Things that people that talk about nowadays they weren't talking about in the 80s. There's Moja, who is very, very good leader, but she has some issues with herself. She has confusion about herself. Uno is our Leo as far as like fighting skills, but he's a jerk. He's kind of a jerk. I didn't want him just to be, what's the guy, Cyclops. Sometimes Leo's Cyclops, and people say, oh, he's milquetoast. Well, no, I wanted Uno to have these skills, but he's the first one to tell you he has those skills. So there's a little bit of rap in him, right? And then you got Odin. Actually, Odin was the first turtle that I fell in love with because that first design that came from Ben, I go, I don't care what we do with the other 3 turtles, but Odin is gonna look like that. It was like this big cuddly looking bear, and I thought, look, here's this big tank who's the most cuddliest one of them all. So he's kind of the Mikey, but when he fights, he's a powerhouse. He's gonna barrel through. So we wanted to make sure that they weren't just the funny one and the happy one. Well, the funny one can be the meanest one when it comes to a fight. The mechanical one is also the one that has some social issues that she has to learn to overcome. And so that was more of how we approached it. We didn't want to go, full bore in that, but like you said, we wanted it just to feel a little different, a little more modern, and they're dealing with modern issues. They're in the future, so they immediately come into a dystopian reality. So that's going to dictate how they perform and relate to each other and relate to other people as well. And how did I approach the April and Casey? Well, Casey Marie Jones grew up in this dystopian thing. She's a street fighter. She's the biggest umbrella parent I ever met in my life. And I wanted to be like that because that's how it is. I grew up Generation X. Our parents were kind of like, do what you want. And then when we had kids, we're like, well, we make sure they're okay and everything's okay because my mom and dad would just said, see you tomorrow. And so it's you always kind of react to who came before. And so we wanted to present that with the human characters as well. With April being that stabilizing presence that was that bridge from the past to the present.
Awesome. And, like Tom was saying, Ben, you actually designed the new team of turtles, which must have been a dream come true for a fan like yourself. But what was that design process like? And how did you use the visual traits of these characters to convey aspects of their personalities?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of personality yet, in the design stage. We were at CGC in Florida doing a big Last Ronin signing. Kevin and Tom and I were talking about, the new turtles, and the objective was, all different silhouettes, all different species. They all look different, no bandanas, and they all use all 4 weapons. And I was like, that's awesome. And then Kevin had these 2 big images he gave me that had thousands of different turtle species on it, just little headshots of all the different turtles. And I was like, okay. And he's like, that's what I got, go. And I was like, okay. And so I looked at that. I looked at turtles, everything, all the different turtles that have ever been drawn by different, comic book artists over the years, but especially the real species. And then I put it all away. I just trusted and hoped that, my subconscious took in what it needed to, and I just had fun. It was around GraniteCon, a few GraniteCons ago, and Mateus was staying over my house after the show, so I was immersed. I was showing Cory the designs, which ones do you like? Which ones do you like? I was showing Santolouco designs, Michael Dillon Alice. It was the perfect turtle show to show everyone what I've been working on. I did 12 different designs. I did 12 teenagers and 12 babies because we knew in launch years we get to see them grow every issue from 3 years old to 6 to 9 to 12 to 15. And so each time I'll have to be responsible for how do they grow? How does their chest plate change? And do they have that awkward stage where they're kind of dumb? Issue 3 or 4, they're kind of no, issue 2 I think is their awkward stage. But I just let all that stuff soak in. I didn't want to be tied to a leaf turtle or a wood turtle or a box turtle or something like that, because then you have to stick to all the different attributes of all of them. But I was like, okay, I've seen stuff like this. I've seen stuff like that, spikes, scales, whatever it is, stripes, spots. But all the lines on the 4 that we chose, and almost all the 12 that I did, I was like, I was using words like breakthrough and enlightenment around this time. I was like, it's the best time of my life. And so like every line I did, I was like feeling, and like you can see it, like Yee's design, like the circles on her face or the circles on her shoulders, like those are the lines you make before you draw an arm. Like you go, okay, and then you draw that arm. And so I just left them, and the eyes, like that's the eyes. And I left it, so like everything, I was like, if it feels good when I'm making it, I bet it's going to translate and like look good and feel good to the reader. And those four were like the four, like Santolouco picked out Yee right away. So that one, you picked out Odin. I think you always liked Moja. So we all had, out of those 12 picks, like our top four, and there was a lot of crossover. And so I think we knew we were on to something special. And since fans have been like, Moja is a box turtle or whatever, the leaf turtle or something, a wood box or whatever. And I look it up and I go, holy shit, like that is. Like, you know, it's like a diamondback or something. Like there's turtles that look exactly like those turtles. And now it's just, I left it back here. So it's cool. It's a good time.
Awesome. So
again.
the Re-Evolution turtles have colors that are drastically distinct from one another, and unlike the original turtles. So Louise, how'd you go about like composing a color scheme for each of these characters?
For the characters or for the story?
For the characters.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I got the same images that Ben got, and so for me it was the same way that he did when he got all the reference from Kevin. When he sent me the reference, I thought that he was gonna send me something like straightforward, and then like, like hundreds and hundreds of turtles. Like, what's going on? So I had no idea. So I had to try to play like a kid again, and like trying to see what color fit best. Because when he sent me the original drawings, he played a little bit with the darker black and white, like a grayer.
I had no dark mode at least.
Oh yeah, no, that's totally. But with Moja, he had like the spots were darker in some places or lighter in some other places with Yee. So he was already thinking about something, and I saw all the turtles. And if you see, Ori is the same colors as the original turtles because I wanted to do a homage to the original turtles because I could have gone crazy, but I thought, yeah, okay, we have 3 other turtles that we can go crazy with. But I gotta go with original turtles like a match. So Odin is the same, obviously not the same exact colors because colors change the colors, but it's the same exact base. Like the brownish shell and then the cooler skin tone. Then he gave me the idea for Uno to change skin tones. That was genius. So I went, he said like, I want it to be white, but not white, like green white. So like mint. Yeah, so I had to do that, and at the same time do the darker one that's also kind of greenish. So I had to play with that. And then it came to Mojo. Like he said, she was my favorite because all of the other turtles are cool palettes, and Moja is brown, is warm palettes. So like brown and yellow. Well, not yellow, but you know that color.
Right.
Probably yeah. So that she became my favorite, and at the same time, without knowing it, she became the same colors as the original Wolverine suit. And yeah, and that's like it happened for accident because there are turtles with that kind of palette. It's not like something I decided to do. It's like I saw one of the pictures and I thought one should be different, and she's the one that is warmer. But it turned out that those colors are like Wolverine, and she's like meaner and shorter than everyone else. So at the same time, she's the same thing as Wolverine. And like I fucking love Moja. And then there's G, and she's yellow and green. It's like contrasting, but at the same time complementary. So it has to do with color theory and stuff that doesn't make any sense, and nobody cares. In my head, it made sense, and I was happy with it. And when I showed them to Ben, because Ben had maybe an idea, he liked it, and I was happy that he did. Then I sent them to Kevin, and I was afraid of it, and he was happy with it. So it was all like a roller coaster of emotions. But I wanted to do something in the same way that he did it, different shapes. If you like the new turtles, if you do, and then if you give them a chance, and you only see like 2 colors, you know who's who. You can see yes, yellow and the green, and the other is white and black, and the other one is brown and beige, and the other one is just the classic yellow and blue, the classic. So you know what colors, who they are without having the bandanas. So even without the shapes, only with the colors, you know who is who. So I think that's pretty cool.
It's a good way to also say that how much teamwork is involved in comics and how open you should be to your fellow creators, because one of the things we've been exploring and we're going to continue to explore is this idea of secondary mutations. And that wasn't the plan that Kevin and I had going into it. Personality wise, yes, we did say like we want their personalities to kind of be varied. Each individual has varied aspects of their personalities. But when Ben started presenting, especially like Uno having this kind of like ability to kind of like change colors, it really started inspiring storytelling. And we've continued to talk about that, and it's something that we're continuing to develop, that we actually showed in Re-Evolution, where all of a sudden, during a battle, Odin gets this almost like rock-like skin. He changes, and that's kind of this idea that there's secondary mutations happening here. And that was very much inspired by the artwork and the designs. It's something, sometimes you see something and you go, oh, you know what, we need to run with this because that's a really good idea. And that makes it a new kind of a different aspect to the story that not only visually, but story-wise, plot-wise, that we can build upon. And so it's one of those things where you just never know where you're going to get your inspiration. And this was just from just these miscellaneous designs that came in that we really honed in on this one thing, and we continue to run with it.
Awesome.
That Uno dark mode was originally, like, the thought came across my mind because the original Archie, where who is it that's in the all black? Is it right?
Yeah.
From that look, I was like, oh, we should do that.
Yeah. And for example, the on Odin, when he changes to rock, it's inspired with the Hulk, but not the green Hulk, like the gray Hulk.
Yeah.
So it has to do with that. And when the Uno changes shapes, the mark on his head changes to white, and they were all thinking like he's supposed to be like a ninja, so he's gonna blend. And I'm like, but he has like this white spot in the middle, so if he's in the dark, everybody's gonna just look at a white spot. So I was going crazy. Yeah, exactly. He was so good. Ah, okay, that's okay.
I was so bad. I got to do that one panel in the Lost Day special where he's in the sewer, like look down the manhole, and it's all black. And it's just the eyes and the stripe. And I was like, I wanted to do that since I came up with that idea. He's like, hi. And then he comes up. Sick.
So Re-Evolution ended on a pretty intense note, but what can you tell us about the future of the Roninverse, and like what are some feelings fans should expect going forward?
Okay, well, first thing I want to say is we are getting ready fairly soon to send. Well, we have the third. I will say this: I just turned in just before I came to the show the first script for the third part of the trilogy. So the third part of the trilogy will be 5 issues, like Ronin and Re-Evolution, 40 pages each. Just turned in that first script. I can't say much more about it.
Okay.
But I will say this: the one thing I will say is it picks up 1 week after Re-Evolution. So at the end of Re-Evolution, we pick up a week later. And I will say this. The first issue kicks freaking ass.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
In the same way the first issue of Last Ronin kicked butt. So it's a very active beginning. I will say that. Very active. That's all I'm going to say right now. But what I will say in the meantime, we, between series, we did the Lost Years book between Re-Evolution and Last Ronin. And Lost Years was not planned. That was one of those things where Paramount and IDW said, we would like to have some more Ronin stuff on the shelves right now. Can you guys have a story? And, we hadn't plotted out Re-Evolution yet. And I said, well, we never told, what happened to Mikey. We never really showed. We talked about it. We never showed what happened to him in Japan and coming across, Europe. And they said, okay, let's do that. So it was just basically, that was kind of like a prequel sequel, like as everybody knows, kind of filling in gaps that were kind of alluded to in the Last Ronin, but we were never presented. So here we are, fast forward, Re-Evolution is done. They kind of wanted something else in between the trilogy finale. And so one thing that Kevin and I were always wanting to tell was the story of how Mikey trained Casey. Because in Last Ronin, he decides to be her sensei. She's excited. Next thing you know, they're in full bore battle. Yeah. Somewhere in between there had to be some kind of training. And this is, you think of like Karate Kid kind of thing and Master Miyagi. So we got a chance. This is a 48-page one shot. Scourses are doing the main art. Ben has
2 pages.
2 pages. So we still have 2 pages that we still keep everybody abreast of, and it makes sense to the story of the new Turtles. and it's kind of a fill in between. The main story is a fill in between issue, I think it's 3 and 4 of Last Ronin, and then we are kind of like in that Lost Day time frame for the new Turtles. But this story turned out so freaking good. I mean, the Scorsese brothers are drawing at a whole new level right now, and you can tell, like, after drawing this for so long, they're just in this rhythm right now. But Training Day comes out, I believe, July.
28, it's a week before San
Right before Comic Con.
July 21st.
And it's almost all done, and it turned out to be fantastic. I mean, and it was something I was excited to draw or write and see drawn, and it's just, again, one of those things that kind of exceeded my expectations. Because, we never want things just to be a fill-in, but it was one of those stories where we're like, oh, we can tell the story, and it'll be something that will keep people engaged until we get to the final part of the trilogy. So I am telling people, don't sleep on Training Day at all. And, Ronin fans have been awesome and very dedicated to the book, and we know that our fan base is excited about new stuff. But Training Day is just a bombastic story from the beginning to the end. It never lets up, and you really get a good look at that relationship between Casey and Mikey, and especially at the end of Ronin when he passes away and he passes on this journal to her and stuff. I think that'll actually add impact to that scene in a new way. So, and I'm really excited about that coming out. But as far as the trilogy is concerned, again, I can't say a lot, but it's a rocket. The first issue is a rocket. I'm really excited about it.
All right, awesome. So I guess now we'll open the floor to questions for a little bit.
I've got a couple questions from the internet. One from one of your fans on Whatnot, Ben. He was curious if you ever had any artwork that had to be toned down or was rejected.
There weren't many revisions, but yeah, there's the issue 2. There's one part. There's this part in the raft sequence where Kevin really wanted the layouts to be like Frank Miller's Ronin, where it's just like 2 panels per page, like these big squares of raft just killing people. And I had him lifting a foot soldier up with the sai so you could see it like coming out the dude's back. And he looks like that.
Dope.
And Nickelodeon said to take just the part that's coming out the back out, so he's still killing it. That makes no sense. Oh yeah, and then Splinter, we had him cut a dude's head in half, the basket head guys from issue 4. And it was fully colored, fully everything. Looked awesome, and then they just made us make it a silhouette. Which is almost worse. It's almost worse.
Actually, it's funny you asked that because this first issue of the new trilogy, I'm waiting for some notes to come back and say, "Yeah, you can't do that." That's all I'm gonna say. So we know it's awesome.
With the issue 2 raft stuff, it was really our first time out with the super violence. And so Kevin kept, pushing me to push it as far as I could, and we'll see what happened. We'll see. And I was looking at a lot of Invincible and Brian Otley and Blood and all that stuff, and I was like, let's do it. And that one's definitely like the most violent, but then by the time we even get to Leo, like I have him doing some crazy stuff. And then my logic was, the same way Mikey has all his brothers, like on his shoulders talking to him. It's like by issue 3, after Raph's gone, they all have a piece of Raph in them. Even Leo, he's like, enough bullshit, we're back to war. Casey's back at the gym. Like, they're back at it, so that was a good time. Let's do it again.
I think it's also evolved with time, because that was such a big risk for them to let us do this initially. I think they were waiting to see how fans and the public would react to the violence, and I think some of the pullback because they were just like, we don't want to scare people away from Turtles, because that actually happened with, like I mentioned earlier, with Turtles 44 in the ongoing run, when we look like Donatello gets killed by Bebop and Rocksteady, and there was a huge backlash, and it wasn't from the people reading the ongoing. They were mad about Donnie being killed, but they could handle the violence. We were getting calls from like parents whose kids were watching the 2012 TV show and confusing the two, and like having people say to me, "My son loves that show, and you killed his favorite character. When am I supposed to tell him tomorrow?" I'm like, "That has nothing to do with that show." But if you're on a brand team for a big company, that's a concern, because now a parent's going to go in the store and go, "I'm not going to buy that turtle stuff anymore because it's so violent," even though what they're buying has nothing to do with the other story. But I think Paramount, to their credit, over time have paid attention to how fans react and know that especially now, I think people are more versed in this idea that there's different dimensions, different multiverses, and they can differentiate. Whereas 15 years ago, that wasn't the case. I credit that to Marvel and DC movies have taught people like, oh yeah, this Batman, Robert Pattinson is different than the Christian Bale Batman, and it's going to have a different feel. But it's a good question because we do get things like that. Like I said, I'm going to get some notes on number 1.
Can't wait.
You mentioned that Kevin pulled out the original concept from the Last Ronin.
Yeah.
Was there a working title? It was Last Ronin. Was there another working title?
If I remember correctly, I just think it was like TMNT The End. And I think that, yeah, like it was like The End. And I think that was, because I believe Marvel did stories like the Fantastic Four, The End, and stuff like that. And so I think they were just kind of like, that was kind of the inspiration for it, you know. But I think it was just The End because they were saying this is the last story, maybe it was called. But it was just something really generic like that. And like I said, they hadn't even decided who it was going to be, and it was pretty high level. But again, like the thing that amazed me the most was just how specific the technology was predicted. It was weird, almost.
He had the flip phone. He said they'd be run by lithium batteries.
Yeah, it was.
He said people would watch sports and news on their phone.
Yeah.
He said our greatest enemy would be terrorism.
Yep.
So, you said it was very fleshed out. Like you didn't know who the Last Ronin was. At the time. Okay.
No, I think, like I said, like Kevin, I think had decided in his mind who it was, but it was just basically this idea, like, okay, what if we told the last turtle story, and one of the turtles is left, the other ones are dead, and this is the state of the world, you know, and here's some of the technologies, and it was, you know, it was pretty high level. So we had to flesh out a lot of.
Okay, so like the flashbacks and everything that came.
There was nothing about like the deaths. I don't think, you know, like Cory probably wasn't even mentioned in there. It was really high level, but it was enough to get you excited. Like, holy crap, there's so much potential here. It's just we've got to like invent an even further future because this has already happened.
Right.
Who at Paramount do we all need to write angry letters to about them canning the Ronin movie? And
actually, you know what?
Is there still hope for an R-rated Ronin movie?
It's not canned. No, I think
you heard it here.
My feeling about the movie is from the people I've talked to and stuff. I think because there was so much, all these mergers that were happening and different people coming in leadership and different people were having a say, that tends to happen. And I think the best way to do it is just is to support Ronin. So we've got like a novelization coming out. Eric Burnham wrote that's coming out in June. An actual novelization of The Last Ronin. That's, you can pre-order that on Amazon or your bookstores right now. Cool. I think if that sells well, you know, money talks, and that kind of gets attention at the top. I think they were just trying to decide, okay, now we're in charge of Turtles, what should we do? But I do know behind the scenes, Ronin is a huge priority for Paramount and Nickelodeon. And I think it's just a matter of all that getting sorted out. So the movie's not done. The movie is going to happen. I don't know when. I'm not going to try to predict when or how or where, who's going to do it. But nobody's saying, we'll never do this movie. They're just saying, we can't do it right now because these other factors. But in the meantime, there is some cool news coming, you know, about things, other media. And so there's things that are happening behind the scenes, some that I can't talk about. One in particular I'm really excited about, but as far as like the movie,
he'll say it in a couple seconds.
No, I can't say it. But we'll be quiet. But when we talk about it with Paramount, and we do quite a bit, they're always saying, "Oh yeah, no, this is our baby." You know, there's a reason there's a training day because they don't want a long gap in publishing. They want Ronin out in front of people still because they know ultimately something is going to happen, whether it's a movie or a TV show, whatever it may be. I don't know. Nobody's given me any specifics. But the one thing that I've always gotten the sense of, and I think Kevin mentioned in an interview recently too, was like, it's not dead. Right now, it's just in kind of like a corporate limbo, but not in a hopeless way at all. It's just like, where does this make the most sense? And in the meantime, until we figure that out, there's going to be other things that are going to get people excited.
All right. Probably have time for like one more question.
I'm good. Unless we gotta get out of here, we can.
Okay.
Let's do 3.
All right, let's do you. All right, you first.
Did you enjoy your time on the Zombicide San Diego exclusive with that hack Paul Pelletier?
No. Yes, I had to put up with Paul. This is the man, by the way. We actually, the funny thing about with the Zombicide thing was I thought Paul was gonna hate me.
Oh, I did.
Because talking about designs and like what pisses off artists, I was like, I didn't know much about Zombicide. It's a role playing game, and we did a kind of a Turtles kind of crossover that they did with the game, and so they came to me. It was Come On Games, I think, right? Yeah, they came to me and said, "Hey, can you write a story with the Turtles?" And this is kind of like just its own generic universe with the 4 Turtles and April and Casey and Roxy and all them, but they're in the Zombicide universe. So then I had to do the research, and they were like hardcore samurai costumes. I mean, like detailed, and they wanted it to look like that. And so I had to include that in the story. But the whole time I'm writing, I'm like, whoever ends up having to draw this is absolutely going to hate me, even though they're the ones that come on is telling me to write it this way. And then when Paul came up, man, you killed on that. Actually, to me, that comic book is the one that it bums me out that it's so hard for people to find because it's a story I really liked. I thought it would turn out really good. I would love.
It was fun.
Yeah, I would like to do more in it. But if you want to see some freaking awesome artwork from an artist who was probably mad the whole time, find that comic. Paul's awesome.
All right, Casey Jones.
For Ben and Luis, is there any spots, like any gaps in time from the original Ronin that you guys wish Tom had fleshed out so you could do like a one shot or something from?
Yeah, but I don't know how much to say because I think we'll do it one day. Tom and I have shot around an idea. I want to do one. You probably know this thing I'm going to say. I've talked to you about it, but it's just opening the first page is opening the oven. April's taking out that turkey, and you're like, oh shit, I know what's about to happen. And we really expand more on like before and after those deaths. So like you see them pull Raph out of the water, but you see a little bit before that too. Like she's like, oh, it's gonna be a great night. And then Raph rolls it, and he's like, clear the shit. Everyone's going to war, and but taking him out and seeing their reaction. Because I do remember it was like issue by issue, and I would watch every YouTube review and read everything as they were coming out. We were making them like issue 2 would come out, they probably wouldn't stop, but we'd have like a breath or two before we had to get back on the next one. And I'd watch all the reviews, and people were like, when issue 3 suddenly did that time jump, and people were like, what the hell happened with Raph? Like they all wanted to see everyone get like so upset and see that turning point. And so I want to do, and I'll just go on the record, Last Days, and we do a series where they're all the last days. Yeah. So, Last Ronin, Last Days, that won't confuse anybody.
I will say that I can say this about the third trilogy. I will say this, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying this. One of the mysteries from Re-Evolution was in that battle on Roosevelt Island, the Hamato clan shows up, and that's kind of like it probably feels like Deuce Machina or how you would say that. It's like where do they come from? How did they get here? And even Casey even says to this Master Matsu guy who comes to help them on Roosevelt Island, she's like, where did you guys come from? He goes, that's a story for another time. That will be explained, and that was something that actually again. It's a fluid process. We had hoped to kind of explain in Re-Evolution, but we were running out of space, and I didn't want to sell the story short. And that would have been something that Ben is going to draw, and he had already done some amazing layouts.
I did some really good pencils, and then I got this working on them all day, and I leaving work, and I had this frantic voicemail from Tom. It's all on my YouTube show if you want to go check it out. He's like, Ben, stop drawing. He's like, we're gonna have to push those pages, but we got a new idea. It's really great. And he's telling me all the time.
That was one where Kevin and I go, do you want to tell him? Do you want to tell him? And I said, Kevin, you got more power. You tell Paramount and IDW, and I'll tell Ben.
I think
they have to be on board for this too.
He promised to use them later because there's some cool layouts.
It's happening. Yeah, it's definitely happening, and I'm really excited because I was not just bummed because it was a last second change, but because they were so awesome. I was like, oh god, if we don't ever get to use these, this is going to be a crime.
Ben's going to print it himself. You know how he
Charge for I never printed. All right, John.
Yeah, I know way back they said something about the Last Ronin video game. I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but is that maybe still happening? I haven't heard anything about it, but I remember reading something that someone was trying to make that.
All I will say is I said something earlier.
Yeah.
Good news.
I love that.
Again, all the other media stuff, like I said, all the other media stuff is high on their list, and we've actually got it. Like I said, the novelization comes out. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble and stuff. That comes out in June, and I think that's kind of like a first step to really expanding this. One of the things that for me has been a thrill, and I